Brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by individuals on this platform, the callers plus invited guests, are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with this brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard live or via archive for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk Free Radio.
Stanley Roy.
Yes, first of all, I have to acknowledge the other Stanley Sylvain. It's a pleasure to talk to you again, first of all. That's number one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So does God exist? In my eyes, he doesn't exist. I'm going to make it very short. I don't have any proof that this God exists. I've been trying to find if there's any proof. I've been trying to find if there's anything. I've been reading a lot of books about it. But like I said to Sylvain when we talked, the debate would be over if tomorrow basically God has showed himself in front of everybody in CNN, in front of the TV. Then it would be done. Then the question wouldn't be if God exists. It would be basically do you obey because God is proven. But in my eyes, it's not been proven yet. And I don't see no Christian or no people who's a believer show me a physical proof. They say it's a mystery. They say you got to have faith. They say everything possible. But it would be like saying to them, show me you have $2 million. They'll be able to see it. But if the God is it, they can't come with the proof.
All right. So we're just flowing right now. Sal, is it flowing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just want to first of all, I'm new at this reasonable Let Us Reason program. So I know that's your second time, Stanley. So I mean, it's how to say Mr. Roy.
Yeah.
Make it easy for everybody to know who Stanley we're talking about here. So it's going to be a little. I have to get comfortable with this. I'm with my daughter here. I'm holding my daughter. She's 6 months old. And she's in my hand right now, so I'm trying to keep her steady as I'm having this conversation with you guys. But to respond to your statement, to my question, pretty much that says, does God exist and why? Do you believe God exists and why not, or why not? Pretty much. And your answer is interesting because you pretty much said, in your eyes, he doesn't exist. But you have no proof for that. Mm-hmm. And that's interesting. I find that to be very interesting because for some reason it seems to me that those that have that view expect the believers to have proof. But however, their claim of the non-existence, they're comfortable of not having proof. So that I just find that very to be interesting in and of itself. But to address that point, we have to consider a couple of questions that we have to first, whether or not something can exist and we not know it. You agree that something, and I know you and I could agree, there are things that exist in the world and we don't know it. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Amen. There are things that exist in the world and we don't know it. So in other words, your knowledge of the thing or person that exists is irrelevant. Your knowledge of it is irrelevant to whether or not this person or thing exists. It could exist whether you know it or not. It doesn't really matter. Your knowing of it has nothing to do with it. And that is something that has to be clear. Step number two is that second is a question is that whether or not we know it exists, obviously, if the first question means it exists. But you agree that you cannot know something exists if it doesn't exist. You agree with that, right?
Yes, I have no problem. The question of saying, do I know? Do I have the knowledge that God exists? No, I don't. But do I believe
No, I didn't say
God?
That. No, my question is, do you agree that you can? I don't care how much one say they know, but if God does not exist, it is impossible to know He exists. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's scientific. That's logic. That's clear logic. Okay? So I'm sticking by reason here and logic. Third, the question of whether or not we have an explanation for the existence that we know. You agree with me, Mr. Roy, right? That you can know something exists or to be true. It is hard to explain what you know to others enough to convict them of that truth. Could you agree with that?
Yeah, but the problem I have with what you're just saying is we shouldn't have any conviction when it comes to that. That's like implication. We shouldn't have any conviction. It should be like the question is, does God exist, should be as easy as me dropping a pen and saying this is gravity. It shouldn't be a debate about that. It should be very clear. Very clear.
You make the statements like what shouldn't be and what should be. But now we have to question. Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
But now we have to question who tells you what should be and shouldn't be? Where'd you get that foundation from?
Well, I get that foundation. I don't even have a foundation. It has nothing to do with but it has nothing to do, if you're asking me the question, it has nothing to do with the personal foundation. It has to do with I'm seeking the truth. I'm seeking the truth. I didn't say personal foundation. I didn't say personal foundation.
Or a foundation. Yeah, so this is very important. My question
there's no foundation for me. The only thing I'm seeking, Sylvain, is the truth.
So
it would be, for me, this debate of does God exist should be as simple as you are black and I'm black. It shouldn't be no hiding. It shouldn't be no debate. It shouldn't be something like this. It should be very simple. It should be very simple.
No, it shouldn't.
It should be. Well, go ahead.
No, it shouldn't. Why
shouldn't it be?
Let's
see tomorrow. Like I said. Go ahead.
One at a time, though. Make sure one at a time. Go ahead.
Okay, not a problem, Sal. But the reason why I said it shouldn't, the reason why I'm telling you it shouldn't is I'm challenging you to tell me why it should. Now, let me tell you
exactly why it should. Because if God tomorrow, I'm going to answer that question very small. It's going to take 2 minutes.
My question's not over. My question wasn't over. I said what I want you to explain to me is why something should or shouldn't, and by your explanation of it, that would be the foundation of why we have to live up to that. Now, I want you to tell me that foundation of why things should be or shouldn't be. I want you to explain to me where that comes from. Go ahead.
Why it should be as the foundation. Why should it be so easy like dropping a pen? Because, like I said last time that we had a talk, if God showed himself for everybody in CNN, the debate is done. There's no hiding and everything.
But
it answers your question because it doesn't, basically it makes everybody they know that the debate would be done. Then you would have to ask another, but I'm going to answer. Let me just finish. Then the other question after everybody knows, and there's no debate about it, would be, do you follow him or you don't? The question the problem I have is when it comes to the God thing, you would say you're coming with all the philosophy. It shouldn't be so complicated because I know where you're going. Where's your foundation? Where's this? It shouldn't be complicated. It should be very easy. Does God exist? Yes or no? If there's no proof, right now we don't have any proof. And like you keep on telling me, do I know everything? No, I don't. But the proof that we have now, we have nothing that proves that God exists. Nothing.
Okay.
And until that changes, you can't tell me something and you can't add something.
Okay.
Until that changes.
You still didn't answer my question. Okay. But I thank you for your speech, but you didn't answer the question. So the thing is, the question that I'm asking you is, you are pretty much giving somebody, you see, in order for you to say that something is right or wrong, something is or isn't, there's got to be something that you're holding that is a standard for everybody to say yes.
No, it doesn't. The standard I have for everybody is the standard that basically I think every human being is good. The standard that I have that I believe personally is that every human being wants to have a better life. The standard that I have is I think that morality comes from every human being. But that's the standard and the standard that I have is the standard that our society decided that this is the law that we need to follow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you said that one of the standards you mentioned is that everybody's good, right? Is that what you said?
Yes.
So you believe
in the beginning, when you're born. In the beginning, when you're born. Don't get me wrong. When you're born, when you're a baby,
I'm glad you have to clarify
you're good.
That.
Yeah,
okay.
when you're good. In the beginning.
Okay, I'm glad that you have to qualify that. But even the statement of good, alone means that you have a view of what good is. And what if that view, where did you get that view from to say what is good and what is not good?
Well, I got this view of good by the action that I've done, by the stuff that I've done, by the difference that I've done in personally and everything. If you start hitting me and beating the crap out of me, you're not doing something good. If you take your own money or if you take your own time and go to people who are homeless and you do it on your own and help them, you are doing something good, and nobody has to tell you that it is. You know how it is.
I hope you don't realize that. You probably didn't realize that, but you just committed a fallacy called begging the question. Because by you telling me that hitting somebody is not good and helping somebody is good doesn't define what good is before that. So we have to understand what good is in and of itself before we can say in examples that this part is good and this part is not good. My question to you is, what is good objectively? What is good objectively? Give me the explanation.
But why do we need to say what's good objectively? What's good for one person could be bad for another person. The goodness and everything goes directly there. What's good for me of saying I will never kill another human being could be for psychopaths saying no, I will kill. Sorry. For me, what's bad for me killing somebody, another human being, could be good for a psychopath saying I need to kill somebody else. So I don't believe in that standard that you need. I don't believe that you need a Jesus or God to be a standard, because that's where you're going. I know you're going there, Sam.
But you don't, please, for the sake of the audience, we would like to not assume what the individual would say. Let's make use of what we say on the show, and that way we could judge it accurately. Because if we make these assumptions, then we're going to come up to like crazy debates.
I agree. I will not assume. But to answer your question, yes, it comes back to an opinion, and it comes back to basically as a society that we need to sit down and decide ourselves as human beings what is good and what is not. That's what I believe.
So now I'm glad you said that, because now it begs the question now, because you stated that good can mean something different to another person. In other words, beating the crap out of you, you said it's not good, but somebody else can say, it is good. Yes. It is good that I beat the crap out of you. So in actuality, according to your statement, that individual did nothing wrong.
Well, not according to the society that we live, not according to the laws.
But if the society
because we don't live in chaos here. We don't live in a world that has no law. If you're telling me that we live in a world that has no law, then you can have that. But there's a consequence if you do that. If you beat the living crap out of me and you injure me to the point that I'm basically this, you will pay a price, which will be prison will be your life. You come to the point of killing.
Let me challenge that point.
So there is a law in society.
Let me challenge that point. Let me challenge that point. I want to challenge that point. Okay, do you agree that it was law to kill Jews in Nazi Germany?
Yes.
Okay, so that means they didn't do wrong.
No, and that means that during the time that happened, during that time and that process and the history, what happened and everything, basically the people in Germany were thinking that they were basically doing what they needed to do to protect themselves. But what they did, was it right? No, not in my eyes. But a German would tell you the reason that we did that is because the Jews were basically taking every possession that we had, and we had no money and no nothing. That's why we did what we did.
Not necessarily.
Yes, but some German would say that. They would say that they did it because of this. I don't justify the act of somebody. I try to understand what he does behind it.
Okay, so you need to tell me that. Then because you understand the act of a German Nazi that rapes and kills a baby, you understand why he does that, and therefore he did nothing wrong because you understand.
No. It's not because you understand somebody. It's not because you understand somebody's action that you can't. I could understand whatever you've done. I truly believe that every action you do in your life, you have to understand why he did that, and there's always a reason. That doesn't mean I will basically applaud you and say I agree with what you did. I will understand you, but I will not say I agree with what you did.
Okay,
that's two different things.
So you do agree that if a person is keeping the law, whether or not they understand the law, whether or not they're doing it because of a reason, or the reason why the Nazis did it is because the Germans. What if or the Jewish people were taken over, whatever? Let's say this person, there's an individual right here that's a German. He didn't know that's the reason why that I killed this Jew. Wait a minute, I'm not there. But if he kills this Jew, he's not doing it for that reason. He's just doing it because he doesn't like him. So my question is, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
My question is. Step number one, he didn't break the law. He actually kept it. So my question to you is, did he do right because he kept the law by killing the Jew?
No, he did wrong. Personally, he did wrong. And by the way, he did so wrong that some people, even who were German, knew that they were doing wrong. And some Germans basically fought against that and even risked their own life and got killed because they decided that those things was wrong. And some German, you forget to mention that. You make it sound like all Germany was Jewish.
I'm not focusing on Germany. I'm focusing on your understanding of good and bad.
But my understanding during that history, during that period, is what they did. Go ahead.
I need you to allow me to finish my point. So this is only an example. I don't want to live in the example to the point where I have to explain the entire German race. That's not my point. My point is I'm attacking an argument you just proposed here about keeping the law is a right thing to do. I'm disagreeing with that because and in fact, you just disagreed with it because I just gave you a scenario where an individual kept the law and then you said he still was wrong. So then, therefore, that law that you're talking about, you said it's a society law. Now, they have a society law, and it was kept, and yet you contradicted your point.
I didn't contradict myself. I didn't contradict. Go ahead.
Let me explain your contradiction.
One at a time.
Because when I asked you initially, I know. Please allow me to finish. When you explained initially in your brief dissertation, you stated, with your own words, that the society has laws, and people have to keep them in order for them to do good things. So now I gave you a society that had laws, and I gave you an example of a person keeping it, and yet you contradicted that law you destroyed by the society law being kept as saying right in part A, but yet you said it was wrong. And when I gave you the example in part B, my question to you is... Let me show you.
Go ahead.
Here's the question. The question I have for you, Mr. Roy, is what law did you judge that individual that kept the law of the German Nazi? What law did you use?
Okay. First of all, I didn't use any I didn't use any law. The only thing I used was my own reason. If I look at that situation, and that's my personal situation, my personal morality, I truly believe, and I don't need to justify. If I had to justify that a German killing a Jew without no reason because he's Jew, then we have a problem in our society. I shouldn't even have to debate on this and everything. Second of all, when you're telling me that people...
No, it's just 2 minutes.
2 minutes. You got 2 minutes left.
Sorry. Second of all, when you are telling me that they had laws in society, yes, they had law in society, and a lot of people was following the law, and a lot of people was following the law blindly, and a lot of people was following the law because they were scared. And you forget to mention that a lot of people was against that law, and they decided by their own saying, I'm going to do something against that law, and they did what I think some Germans said, that they're not going to obey that law. The law is one thing. It's what you use with your mind, your conscience. Some people will follow the law, some people, but it's a question of your own responsibility.
I agree.
It's not just the law. It's your own responsibility. It's your own headache. Go ahead.
This is where your philosophy falls and crumbles. is because you're showing me that there is a reasonable law aside from society law that can override society laws if we realize that the law that is created for society is wicked. So my question is, what is that law that we are saying the law that society created is against this law? And now you know what that law is? It is the objective law that we are all going by, and that's the law that I'm referring to. When I speak about the law,
I agree. It is the objective law. And how do you want to make it different? It is objective. If it wasn't for objectivity, we'd still be slaves. If it wasn't for objectivity, we would still have Germany there. It is objective. It is the opinion. It is this. It is what those things that make our society better. It is not the Bible and the God of telling you, God saying, slavery, do this and that. Your Bible, which is your book, is saying that it is the ultimate.
All right, 20 minutes is up. Once again, this is the second edition to the Let Us Reason, Volume 2, the Atheist and Christian Dialogue. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. That's 646-716-7320. Remember, you can always call in with your questions and your comments. All you got to do is dial that number via phone or via Skype, and you can press the number 1. I'm just going to ask my special guests, during the dialogue, make sure you guys stay on topic. I'll get some emails from people that's, I guess they're taking down notes. So make sure you guys stay on topic, and hopefully, you can allow each other to dialogue, and just pick and choose when you can jump in, so it won't be all over the place. So let's go to the next question. We're going to go to Stanley Roy's question. Let's see what he has here. I know he sent me a lot of questions, too. Let's see what he has. All right, here we go. Can a mass murderer go to heaven for accepting your religion, while a kind doctor goes to hell for not? I'm going to read it again. Can a mass murderer go to heaven for accepting your religion, while a kind doctor goes to hell for not? All right, so I guess we're going to go start off with Stanley. I'm going to open up the both phone lines, and you can go ahead, brother.
All righty. Step number 1, the question pretty much has information in there that needs to be explained. Step number 1, what is kind? Kind is already defined. So if we are judging kind by societal acts, then this individual does not accept Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, or should I say the Messiah as his Lord and Savior, then kind is only subjective to the people that's looking at him. So another person, a person that is a mass murderer, could be considered kind to other mass murderers. So if a mass murderer that we as loving and good people are judging the situation as a person as a mass murderer, that individual has an opportunity to change his ways, but he cannot go into the kingdom as a mass murderer. No way. He would definitely have to be a repentant, a forgiven, a person that changed his life, a person that realized he was wrong. That individual may have the opportunity, but the other person that is saying that is kind, if this person is kind on the basis of the idea that they're living righteously according to God's will, then that individual will make it. However, if they are kind only by society's morality, then that individual is pretty much thinking that they are kind, thinking that they are good, thinking that whatever they're doing is right. However, it is a blind kindness, and that person is deluded, just like the society will be, just like the society is, and he will not make it as well.
But Brother Sylvain, the problem with what you're saying is because the question, the reason I came with this question came to what is the ultimate sin as a person in God? Like you just said it, the ultimate sin. You could be somebody that does good. I go through your action because I believe in the action of somebody. But the ultimate sin, like you said, if you do not believe in Jesus and God, your action could be good, but you will still pay for that. And that's where I disagree. Because a murderer is a murderer. If a murderer would come over to your place and kill all your kids and every children, and basically God, you would see God. You would go in heaven and you would see this person. I'm sure you would ask God, how come this person who killed everybody in my family is in heaven compared to another person
like me or another person who does not believe in God, but I know his action, I know what he did, God, I know what he's been doing, he's helped other people, he did that, not because the Bible said so, because it came from him. And you're telling me that this person is doing it not because the ultimate thing, he doesn't believe in your God, you're not seeing the difference, you're not seeing the injustice, you're not seeing something about that? You're going to stand up with God with this?
You done?
Yes, this is the question.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, my answer to your question is clear. The problem with your question, step number one, is understanding, again, good and evil, understanding what good and evil is. You just said it by your actions, but what you're leaving out from the situation is the judgment of the actions. Who's doing the judging of those actions? So then all these things are being
But Brother Sylvain,
wait a minute,
who's doing? Wait a minute, Brother Sylvain, just a little thing, Who's doing the who's
Stan Roy? You got a lot of time. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm not finished. The point I'm making is that in your example of what good and bad is, what you're leaving out is the judger of those actions as well. I may say this person may. You see a person stabs a woman. One person A says wicked. That's the judge of that person, judging that action. Second person B says good, judging that same person. The act never changed. It is the people's judgment of the act that changes. So then for one to say that is a kind person, who's saying he's kind? The society or God? Now, if God is saying he's kind,
it's not the society that's going to say that's good judge.
When the society says he's kind, remember we're dealing with a society that has multiple of understanding of what good is. We were proved that in the last question. That you said it depends. Something could be good to me and not good to you. So who's saying this person is kind? Is it 15 people? Is it 100 people? Is it 1,000 people? Is it 2 people? So all these things come to action of whether this person is kind. Because that same person that you're calling kind, other people may say he's wicked. So then we need to wait a minute. So then we need to understand who's doing the judging. Now, I want to ask you I don't want to ask you anything. I'm going to make one more point. We have to be very careful in understanding that an action cost on a person, depending on who you are sinning or attacking, the consequence could be greater. What do I mean by that? My brother, I see my brother here. If we get into an argument and I'm going to swing a punch at him, I could swing a punch at him and I miss. And somebody look at it and go, you know what, we almost had a fight. We made up. Everything's all cool. No problem, no harm done. But if my mother comes in the room and I swing a punch at her and I missed, that even if I just missed, that action alone would hold a bigger understanding and moral consequence. It'll be different to know that you swung at your mother. Now, go even higher. If a police officer were to if I swung a punch at a police officer and I missed, I can go to jail for that. And I missed. I didn't even hit him. Same action, though. Same action I did to my brother. Same action I did to my mother. Same action for the cop. Now, if I swing also a punch at a judge, it'll be even greater for me. My sentence could be even longer. Now, if I try to swing a punch at the president of the United States, I could even get killed. So you see, notice that it's the same act throughout the entire thing, but who you're doing it against is very important. Now, if this mass murderer is getting justice from the greatest judge of the universe, that we're not supposed to be questioning on his judgment. The question we have to ask is, whoa, what kind of God would judge a mass murderer? That means I have hope as well. That's the way we're supposed to be looking at it.
Okay, I disagree with what you're saying. So when you're asking the question, and who is the judge? You are. I am. Sal is. Every person that's on the telephone is the judge. It's judged through your action and through everything that you do. It's not judged through when you're coming with the philosophy of society and this. I don't care about society. I care about you as a human being who has enough judgment to say that this action is good and this action is bad. And you don't need no God to tell you those things. You don't need no standard to tell you those things, because I believe in you as a human being that you will know that if I do good things, you would tell other people Stanley did good, like I would say to you. And I don't need nothing to justify that you've done good. Just because you're a human being, just because you are who you are. And I would say the same thing if a murderer or a rapist or somebody did evil on you. I would never tell you in front of the judge, well, you know, judge, we can look at the rapist and the murderer who killed all his kids, who killed his wife, all the family of Stanley, that, hey, for him it was maybe good. You will never hear that. You will only hear that from somebody that basically is leaving down. Wait up, Sylvain, because that's the problem I have with you as Christians. You are leaving out your humanity because you need to protect God for this. You're leaving out your humanity. How dare you do that? How dare you say how dare you say to us as human beings that we don't have the judge of saying what's a good action or a bad action when you know you do? When you don't even need a God to know those things. How dare you say that if a doctor or any human being would do something good in life, you would not look at their actions and say that was good, not looking at God and everything. And a murderer that killed your family, that killed your kid, that killed everything that you love.
You're preaching now, brother. You're preaching. You're preaching.
I'm not preaching. I'm going to exactly what you said. You're speaking from emotions
right now.
No, I'm not talking about emotion. I'm talking about the disrespect that you have on human beings. You think a human being can't do it without God.
I think you're making the same point like three different times. All right, but you're making the same point 3 different times. We want to preserve as much as possible. All right, so now understand something that you're stating there. You said, how dare that we look to a standard of to say what is right and what's wrong. Then think about your logic, for instance. Let's say you were to take a test. You go to a test, a math test. You're taking a math test. The person is in the class. So everybody is asked the question, what's 2 plus 2? You're saying it's okay for everybody to say, oh, any answer you freaking want. Oh, 17. Oh, 6, 5, 3, 4. That is chaos. So that kind of mindset is ridiculous. So if a person were to look at Hitler and don't know that he was a mass murderer, you're saying that it's a good judgment for him to say, oh, because you are loyal to your wife and you are a good father to your kids, you are a good person. No. So this person here would be complete in disagreement with everybody, almost a lot of people, majority of the people of the world that looked at this man. However, we're saying, according to your logic, that's a good way of looking at it. So if a person like Hitler were to go to hell, that individual that made that judgment of saying that he was a kind man should be upset with God because Hitler went to hell. You see, that kind of...
No.
The
person would be upset.
Wait. You gave the example in the question that Sal read, that if the person is kind, I raised the question, who's making that judgment who's kind? So just
I just answer you the question. You do.
I'm explaining to you that when you said that we are the judge, you see, I'm going to bring that up. Wait. When you said that we are the judge, I am attacking that logic because I'm showing you here's an individual judging a mass murderer as a kind and good man. And if that individual were to see that Hitler went to hell, mind you, he doesn't know Hitler's every move. He just knows that he's a good father and a good husband, and that's all he has. So based on that, he should say God is a wicked God, and Christians are wicked people for sending a good man like Hitler to hell. According to you, since we are the judge, all we have to do
but Sylvain, you forgot to add something. If that person would say that, oh, Hitler is a good person because he's a good father and everything, it would be my responsibility or anybody's responsibility to say, wait up, we forgot to tell you more information of what he did. If you just stop on the information that he's a good person because he's a good father, yes, he is. But when you add all the stuff that he did, then he doesn't become a good person.
But that's you see the problem with your logic.
That's why we have juries, and that's why we have courts.
But we don't use juries for everybody. We don't use juries to see whether or not you're a good person.
Yeah, but when we do use juries,
that's living next door to you.
Go ahead.
The person that's living next door to you, you don't take him to court to see if he's a good person or not. So that's. But we only take people to court for crime.
But that's what I'm talking about. When it comes
to wait a minute. We're talking about character here. So to see if a person is a good person, in order for you to come up with that judgment, you cannot say a person is good or bad unless you have the full knowledge of that individual, according to what you're saying. So if you don't have the full knowledge of that,
no, I never said that. It's concerning his action. Like when you came with the example of Hitler, that basically you're saying to me he's a good person because the person just knows him as a good father and everything. Those actions justify that he's a good person. But if that person said he's a good person for that, it is my responsibility and everybody's responsibility to add information to that person saying he's not good because he did this and that. Because we live in a society that we are all responsible for one another.
Why do you have to have the responsibility?
Because I just answered that. Because
no, you didn't. Wait, we do.
Let me repeat it, Sylvain. Because, and that's foundation. That is fundamental. If we don't even have that, we should basically blow up this earth. Because
you still didn't answer the question.
Let me just finish this. Because we are all responsible for one another. I am responsible for you as my brother and my sister.
You still didn't answer the question.
Yes, I am answering your question because you're not hearing the humanity on my question.
This is what you said, Stanley. You're not realizing it.
Why? Go ahead.
Hold on, fellas.
Stanley,
Let the brother dialogue.
Listen, Stanley, this is what you're doing. You're not even realizing it. You're saying we have to be responsible because we have to be responsible.
No, I didn't say that. I said you asked me why do we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible because we own up to one another. Because your betterment is as important than mine. Because it is a society that we live in.
Why?
Because if tomorrow basically your house is burned and my house is burned and everybody's burned or everybody's robbed, we will live in a society that's chaos. We need each other.
But if mine is not burned, I'm fine.
Yes, if it's not burned and everything, you know what we do with a society, with a person like you who's selfish and doesn't think about that? We basically put him aside.
Why do I have to?
We put you aside. We don't live in a society like this. I'm sorry, Sylvain, we don't.
If God does not exist.
It does not. Not in my eyes. Not in my eyes.
Listen, if God does not exist, I don't have to care.
Yes, you do. You still
tell me who?
Because if God doesn't exist, it doesn't justify you for doing what you need to do, which is being good as a human being.
Why do I have to be good?
Because you want to live in a great society. Because you want to live in a place where peace. Because if we come back to the foundation, I think we both want to have a better society that has peace.
No, I don't. Yes,
you do. Yes, you do. We had that talk before.
I want to have a society
where
I control everybody.
You do. You're acting like somebody who's psychotic, and you're not. That's not your foundation.
No, it's hypothetical, Stanley. Come on. All right, you have to understand that.
I'm not going hypothetical, Silvo. I want you to be honest.
Stan, I hear the baby, man. If you need let me know if you need a little, time. I know you got the baby. You take care of the baby too, man. So let me know if you you need an intermission break or whatever. I got you, brother. Once again, it's Let Us Reason, Volume 2. Once again, it's Let Us Reason, Volume 2. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. Let Us Reason is a one-on-one dialogue show where, we can just have a conversation about different questions that my special guest has sent. I read it out loud over the air, and they do their best to dialogue, and, hopefully you guys get some answers. But I do have some people pressing number 1 right now on the phone lines. I guess they got some questions, and again, this is the show where you, the listening audience, can call in with your questions and your comments. Dial that number and press the number 1, and we can add you into the conversation. What we're going to do is I got some more questions. I got to ask my special guest, but let me take 1 or 2, maybe 1 or 2 questions right now. Again, if you have a question or comment, guys, you know the number, 646-716-7320. Do me a favor, make your comments or question brief because we have a lot more show to go, and, we got a lot more questions to get answered. So let's go to the first person. Let's go to 252-883. You're live on the air.
Peace, Brother Sal. This is Brother Raheem.
Hey, what's up, Raheem?
Hey, what's up, Raheem?
Peace to the brothers, both Stanleys.
Wow, peace, Brother Sal. That's Brother Raheem. Peace.
Yeah, that's kind of deep. It's 2 Stanleys. Wow. Okay, all right. I'm a Muslim, and I'm not talking to Stanley Sylvain. He already knows. He knows. We may differ in theology, but it's one thing we do know at a common ground that there is a creator.
Amen.
So the other Stanley is basically blatant, out there known atheist, and I respect him for letting people know what he is, so we'll know. I have one comment and one question. He said that God is not, I really don't like to use the term God because you can play with that word so much, but I would like to use the words that Jesus said, Allah. He said, and that means the creator. My thing is, if I look at the trees, cows, insects, the galaxy, and galaxies, there's millions of galaxies. And I study this in biology, chemistry, and things like that. I would like to ask the other Stanley, the atheist, on one point, who created all this? Because man right now is supposed to be the most intelligent out of all the species. We're animals, but we're the highest level of animals on the chain. I'm trying to figure out what you think, because the Creator, if you read the Bible, he says, I'm in darkness. And that darkness protects us. You claim you want to see him. If you read the Bible, there's people that say we wanted to see him, and they saw him, and they couldn't take the blazing light. Like just like when you see lightning, people don't, and you hear that thunder, people can't even take it. So you saying you want to see him? I really don't think so. So I'm saying, like, how did these planets come about? To the other Stanley.
Okay, how did these planets come about? The best scientifically reason that we have is the Big Bang. That is the best scientifically. Basically, it's an explosion of energy that basically exploded out of nowhere, and basically all the energy exploded and brought to the point of having planets. That is the best scientific proposal that we have. The other proposal that we have is the multiverse, that basically says that we have different Earth, different sun, different things. That is a theory that is still working. But still, with all those things, God is not needed for the explosion. The thing I would go back to you is, if you're telling me that all those things needed to be created, I would come back to you saying, okay, so if God created those things, who created God? And you cannot come to me with the famous saying, well, God is out of time, so God is eternal, but the universe can't be eternal. You can't have it both ways. If we're going to the logic saying God created those planets, those things, good. Who created God? And you cannot tell me that does happen, then you can't say that God is an exception. Well, I could say the universe is an exception.
Okay, cool. Now, I hope Sal let me stay on, because you just said something. You said the Big Bang started out of nowhere. Am I correct? Before I even go on.
Did. Yes, he did.
Okay. I want to hear it from his mouth.
Yeah, the Big Bang was an explosion that started, that basically formed all the planets. If you're telling me if there was something that did the thing before, we don't know. And that is the answer that we have.
Hold on, Stanley. I got a question. I just wanted to hear you say that it started from nowhere. Yeah.
No, I didn't say it started from nowhere. I said there was an explosion.
Stanley, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No. Wait. When we're saying nowhere, what are we talking about nowhere? Are you talking about nowhere, no space, like in physics? Or are you talking about nowhere, like when you... What are we talking about when we're talking about
No. You said nowhere. No.
Yeah. But I'm going to me. I'm telling you me. What I've read and everything, the nowhere doesn't even exist. The nowhere space still has something. There's nowhere does not exist. So when you come back as a Christian telling me, how do you create something from nowhere, I don't even know what you're talking about, because physics doesn't even know what nowhere is. But you said nowhere, Stanley.
Hold on.
No, I didn't. I said it was an explosion. It was a direct explosion.
Hold on, let Yeah, let Raheem answer.
Okay, let's say even if I did nowhere and everything, it's not the nowhere that you say no space or nothing. I don't even know what nowhere is. Nowhere in physics is just have something.
But go ahead.
Yeah, let Raheem respond because we got more callers behind. Go ahead, Raheem.
Yeah, Raheem.
Brother Stan, see, you just messed me up because I wanted to say one other thing. But I'm asking you, how did the Big Bang start?
And I'm telling you that I don't know. I'm telling you that basically right now in science, we don't know.
Okay.
And that's being honest. And we don't know. And you don't, and Sylvain does. The thing I don't, let me just add a small thing. The thing that I don't like is then you're going to put God in it when you have no proof of that existence.
You don't have proof of Big Bang either.
Hold on. You answered my question. You said y'all don't know. Okay. Now, globally, before there was even a Bible that existed, talking about Fuego, the people there, people of Pomokuponku, people of Taino natives, people in Africa, before there was even a thought of Abraham or Christ or Shem, there is notes that people worshiped a deity. And they understood scientifically that there was a power greater than themselves to create a planet. We know man. That's logical. We know man didn't do it. There's a power that created. There was a power that started the Big Bang. We may call him God. We may call him Allah. We may call him Allah. You get what I'm saying? But there is a power and intelligence. And when you have systems and when you have things like our whole function, our body is a system of purpose. When you have that, that means that power that created everything, and it's not from nothing, it's from the substance of himself. When he created man, he tells you in the Bible and the Quran, he created man from black mud and from the ground. That substance is not from nothing because he was always there. He says in the Quran, he says, Allah Samad, I'm eternal, absolute. He don't begin and he don't end. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm asking you this. There's a power. We just gave a name to it. Different names is all over the world. But before Christ, our people knew this. And this is global, Stanley. That's what you got to study. You're just on the Christians. This is before Christ. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years before Christ. And that's what I'm getting to. But since you don't know how the Big Bang started, the books tells us, and we know scientifically, in order for a Big Bang to happen, there has to be power and motion. They teach you that in chemistry. They teach you that in school.
I apologize, Raheem. I apologize, man. You got some more questions, though. But, Stanley, you want to respond, Sylvain? I know you want to respond.
Oh, yes. Most definitely. I want to address that argument that Stanley Roy brought up about that who created God. There's a problem with that question. And I've heard this made by many different people. If we can get to the level of how did this get here, and then we say, okay, God did it, and then you go into who created God. If I don't have an answer on who created God, it doesn't disprove God. It just proves the creator of God. So
I never said he did disprove God.
Wait a minute.
I agree with you, Sylvain.
Okay, good. So then, therefore, that should be enough to say God exists on your
No. Whoa. Sylvain, you have it this way. You did not prove that God exists. You just made a statement.
One at a time, guys.
One at a time. We are. It's with the understanding that it is clearly proven that God exists. If we all come to the conclusion, logically speaking, God exists based on creation, and then if you want to disprove that logic by saying, well, who created the creator? Well, then that is a terrible argument because that doesn't disprove the creator. It just means that we have more knowledge to reach higher than God to find out how he got here. But it doesn't take away that God didn't create everything.
So even that argument, so in other words, we do not need an explanation to explain an explanation. Because if we're going to need an explanation to explain the explanation, then we're going to need an explanation of the explanation. And the explanation of the explanation, and there's going to be an infinite regress. We'll never answer the question.
And thank you, Sylvain, and thank you for being honest with that. And wait a minute, wait a minute. That is the whole problem.
Wait a minute. And the problem with this logic, not only does it get rid of God, but it even gets rid of science. Because now you can't even explain something, because I have to tell you, okay, if you explain this, then how did it get here? And you can say, well, because of this, and how did you get that one? And then I'm going to keep going further back infinitely to the point where you can't even go anymore, and then I'm going to start from the beginning and get, well, then I guess that is not logical anymore. That is poor reasoning skills that will destroy any form of reasoning if we try to use the infinite regress logic. That is a terrible reasoning.
And Sylvain, the problem with what you're saying, and I agree everything that you said. The problem is you didn't prove that God did the thing of the universe. I heard, Sylvain, I heard logically. You said logically, the universe was created by God. I don't care about logically. I want the proof. I want you to basically prove to me that God created the universe. Because I'm telling you, Sylvain, I said that before. If tomorrow God would show himself in CNN, the debate is over. If God showed himself in front of scientific people and said, let me show you how I did, let me show you in front of everybody that I created moon or whatever in front of you, the debate is over. It's done. Now it becomes the other debate if you want to follow him or not. But like I said, when we had the discussion privately, Sylvain, I said the debate is over. But you come before even doing that proof of saying God exists. You didn't even prove that. If you did prove that, I would be a Christian. You wouldn't hear any atheists. You cannot say that you...
All right, hold on, Stanley Roy. Let Stanley answer that question because we got to move on. Stanley, you can go ahead. After that, we're going to move on. So go ahead. You can answer that question.
Am I on?
You're live now. Yeah, you're live on air.
Okay.
You're live on air.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much, he said I didn't prove that God exists. And I didn't come here on this show right now to prove God existed. And notice also, he doesn't disprove that God doesn't exist either. So the burden of proof is on both of us to provide. To make a statement that God does not exist, you got to prove that. But you said in the beginning, and I'm glad you were honest about it, that you can't prove it. Well, therefore, you can't argue this debate because you don't have proof at all. But you, as you said, I don't claim that I don't have proof. I have proof. I just haven't bought it. But you say you don't have it. Fine. That means you don't have the tools you need to have debates like this because you need to bring proof of God's non-existence against my proof of God's existence. That's the way these things work. All right, we can move on now.
All right, guys, we have a lot more show for you guys. So once again, I see we have people pressing number 1. We're going to get to you guys. Well, again, the number is 646-716-7320. I have a lot of questions that my special guest has presented to me via email that I want to get through as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take one more caller, please. Again, please make it brief. Make your comments brief, and then we can move on to the next question that the special guest has sent me. Let's go to 708-705. You're live on the air.
Yeah, can I be heard?
Yep. Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. All right. What's going on? This is Brother Marcel. I'm enjoying the debate so far. How y'all doing, man?
What's going on,
Quentin? Yeah. Man, there's so much I want to comment on, so much, but I'm going to try to make it brief. All right, so first of all, I just want to point out the fact that it takes faith to believe in the Big Bang. Faith. Yes. So the Big Bang is just as absurd as you would say, as us believing in God. You can't prove it. There's so many questions when you go down that path. So I'm going to just leave that right there. Okay, number 2. What Sylvain was trying to say as far as the infinity logic that you brought up, let's just say, for example, if you had God and he had a creator, basically his creator is his boss. So he would have to get permission to create from his boss, right? Mm-hmm. So if he has infinity bosses, ultimately nothing will get done. So proof that we have in earth is that there is a God, and he's only one God. It's not like, no, who created him, then who created him. That infinity logic don't work either. All right, moving on. You started off in like your first couple minutes. You created so many fallacies. The other Stanley, I don't know his name, but what? Son, be quiet. When you made a universal claim about good, then you refuted it. I hope you know that, because you basically made it seem like it's a universal good. But then you said you said basically people can arbitrarily make up what's good. You said what's good for you may not be good for me. Yes. So if that's the case, I could say it's good to object women, and you probably don't feel that way. So that don't work.
But sir, don't we live in a society that has that? Wait. I don't have much time. You get all the time in the world. So Go ahead. Okay. So I wanted to bring up this last thing because this is what I actually press one with. When you brought up the whole mass murderer situation and everything, I just wanted to point out one thing, because you said something about the good doctor, the kind doctor, and the mass murderer, something like that. What I wanted to point out is that when you said basically, I guess when Hitler is on trial, and you have a man that when Stanley brought up Stanley Sylvain brought up the situation, how a man could say, okay, he's a good daddy, he's a loyal husband or whatever. And you said it's basically up to the people to bring up, I guess, the other allegations. Yes. My point is this. Most people, son, cut that off. Most people probably don't even know the other allegations. Or a person can appear good on the outside and have people locked up in their basement. That doctor, that mass murderer could have seen less than that kind doctor. That kind doctor who you call kind on the outside could be molesting women when he examine them. He could be misdiagnosing people for money. He could be doing anything. So when we talking about, you said, because you made the claim that it doesn't take a God for us to judge what's right. But see, it does, because it takes an all-knowing God to judge what's right. And you made so many claims. You said, you told Stanley. Wait. You're going over space, but you're not letting me interfere to your space. First of all, you're making the claim that I said that it doesn't take God, because you made the statement. I agree with what you said. Does it prove that the doctor could be downstairs and could be having some people in prison? And yes, it could happen, but you have to prove it. You're basically adding stuff. You're adding stuff that is not there. Did I say the person is? I said we have a doctor that is good, that is doing good things, not just operation. He's going over in Africa. He's doing the thing that he's a doctor over there. You cannot say to me that there's not people who are good. I cannot believe as a human being you do not see some people who are good and you know they're good. Not because God said so, because they have good intention in their heart. We all have. Some people don't have it more than others. I do. Sylvain has it, and I'm sure you do. But you're taking now this and putting it like it doesn't happen. Where's your humanity with this? Where's your greatness in this? Is this what you believe in, that we don't have greatness as human beings?
He's preaching.
I'm not preaching. I'm asking him a question because he went with the doctor and everything. I'm asking him a question. Do you believe that human being doesn't have greatness?
Let's let Stanley answer the question, because we got to move on. Go ahead, Stanley.
And I'm glad Quentin called in and saw those fallacies as well, because that's exactly what was happening practically most of the night. And Stanley's a really cool person, but fallacies are committed by many people. And I guess my job tonight, at least I'm doing the best I can to show him these fallacies so that he can see them and think about it reasonably and go, I didn't even realize the contradiction. But we got to be honest when there's a contradiction. When you make a contradiction, you got to be honest about it and say, well, you know what, that was a contradiction. If you say one breath is objective moral, and you say with another breath
oh, what's good to me is not good to you, then that's a contradiction. That has to
It's not. Go ahead, Sylvain. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying
I don't see it. I don't see it as a contradiction. I'm being honest with you when you're asking. It was like me when I'm being honest with you, and you're not being honest, and I don't like this.
I'm
Sylvain.
not saying you were not being honest.
Wait, Sylvain. You're not being honest. I'm being real. Tonight I decided to come in there and not do hyper thing, and I would appreciate you. Like last time we had a conversation, you were being honest and not doing the hyper thing. You were being honest when I was saying, don't you say greatness on people? You would say, yes, there is greatness on people.
Yes,
Where's that speech? Yes. Where is that person that I was talking to?
Could I speak, please? Now you're attacking my character. Now
I'm not attack your character. I heard this from your own mouth that you said there was greatness.
Bring it down.
You need to relax.
Let's bring it down.
You're kind of hype right now. You're hype. So now you're attacking my character. Right?
I'm not attacking your character, Sylvain.
Stanley.
I have the utmost respect for you.
Mr. Roy.
Go ahead.
You have to do the best you can to control yourself, especially on air because people are listening. Okay? So I'm explaining to you how you attack my character. If I explain to the audience that I am being hypothetical so I can bring out a particular point or address an argument that you are raising, the hypothetical position is how would you answer an individual that is like that for real? So I'm playing the role of that individual hypothetically so that you be able to know how to be consistent with your logic. Now, all I'm looking for is consistency. If we see clearly that your reasoning is not consistent with a person that was acting the way I was, for real, then we're going to see that you're not using good judgment and good reasoning with the way you're thinking about things. That's the reason why I use hypothetical. Now, if you're going to use, wait a minute, if I have to defend my character now, you just destroyed it. Now, if you're gonna tell people and all the thousands of listeners that are listening now that I am dishonest because I decided to bring up a hypothetical so we can reason about our philosophies, and you attacking my personal character because of the acting. It's almost like saying Denzel Washington is wicked because he played a wicked cop in a movie. That's a hypothetical cop. That's not a real cop. But are we gonna destroy Denzel Washington's real character because of what he played in the movie? I was playing a role for you, and then
Sylvain, I'm not coming here in this conversation for you to act to do an acting. I didn't come here for acting. I came here for.
We come here to address reasoning.
You asked me. First, let me make something clear.
Roy.
First, let me make something very clear. I respect you enormously. I am not attacking your character. If you can't accept that, and if you can't come and look at this as you doesn't attack my character, especially when I said at the beginning, I didn't come here for you to defend and to do a hypothetical. I came here for you being real. I came here to stop going with exception and being real. And when you go with exception, those things, you know what I say. Those crazy people, those things, they do crazy things, we put them in prison. And that's that. Can we get over the exception and be real? That's what I'm saying.
All right. Once again, this is Let Us Reason Volume 2, guys. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. We have a lot more questions, and I see we have a lot of people on the switchboard right about now pressing the number 1. We're going to get to you guys later on. We're going to get to as much people as possible because I have a lot of questions to go through. And once again, this is Let Us Reason, which is a one-on-one dialogue, and each special guest has emailed me some questions that they want, each other to answer, and I'm going to read them out. Let's go to the next question. Let's move on. All right, this question is from Sylvain. Does objective moral values exist, or are moral values subjective? I'm going to read it again. Does objective moral values exist, or are moral values subjective? Of course, we're going to start off with Roy. And Roy, you can go ahead and answer that question.
Like I said, I truly believe that morality is subjective. It goes by the decision that everybody does subjectively. And the society put themselves together with a meeting and everything of saying, how can we make society better? Does it happen that we do subjective morality and it's wrong? Yes, it happens. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen. And there's many things in history that Sylvain basically could go in and say that. But does it happen that when we do subjective that it brings greatness to humanity? Yes, it does. And I'm a little bit tired that we don't look at the greatness that we do as human beings. We always look at the greatness of God, but we don't look at the greatness of we did because we were subjective. We don't need an objective God of having the almighty moral. And by the way, Sylvain, the objective God did say that slavery was okay in your Bible. If we would have followed your objective God and everything, we would still have slavery. We would still have rape. And we would still have a lot of things in the Bible that I think in society
Stanley Roy,
in 2014 you don't want.
Stanley Roy, that's one of your questions. So save that. I was going to actually read that later on. Save that question up for later. I got that question. I'm going to read that for later. Let's go ahead, though. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sylvain.
Oh,
yes,
my turn. Okay. Well, pretty much it's, and I hope everybody's listening, that earlier when I brought up the example of the Nazi Germany, and I gave the example of the individual killing a Jew according to the law of that society, and I asked Stanley Roy, was he right for doing that? And he said, no, the individual was wrong. And then I pointed out, then what law are you going by to make that judgment? And then we established, and we both agreed at that moment, that there is objective law to make that judgment. Interestingly enough, when the question was posed by Sal right now about objective morality, he said no, it's subjective. And I hope everybody's listening. Earlier he said objective, now he said subjective.
I didn't say objective, Sylvain. I said exactly what I said. When you asked me the question, what law and everything said, I said that basically in their society, objectively, they decided to kill Jew. And I said subjectively. You asked me personally what it means to you.
I'm not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm not talking about that.
I'm repeating what I said. I remember what I said, Sylvain. And I said my personal opinion is that they should have never killed the Jew. That is being subjective. My personal.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that.
Okay, go ahead.
I said there is, I had made the statement, we must be going by an objective law to say that this individual is wrong. You said, and I want everybody, those who heard it, please call in and say you heard it. He clearly said, I agree. Now, if you did not understand what I said, then maybe that's what happened. But I clearly said there must be an objective law that we are going by to say that this individual was wrong because this guy actually kept the law. And you said, so there must be a higher law that you're going by.
No, I don't. Yes. I don't agree with your statement. And maybe I didn't understand what you were saying.
Maybe that's what happened.
But I don't agree with what you're saying.
Okay. Then you believe in that laws are subjective, correct?
No, I believe, like I said, that us as a society, we put ourselves together and we basically say, what do we do with rape? What do we do with this case? What do we do with that case?
Yeah,
and we put ourselves together and we even have people who represent us to basically have society to what it is. Yes, I do.
So it's yes. There's not no. It's like it's yes. It's not no. You said no. Okay, so you said yes. That's just, so I wanted a simple yes. So that's what you said. Okay. So now you clearly agree. Now you state that the laws are subjective. Let's analyze that statement. The laws are subjective. That means this society A, can disagree with society B when it comes to particular laws. When it comes to the laws, let's say one society believes that raping women under the age of 16 is lawful. There's nothing wrong with that. I see nothing wrong. They don't understand. They don't understand right from wrong yet. At that age, you rape them anyway, so they can have the children. They'll thank you later for it. Don't worry about it. That's just the law of this society. So in the other society, society B, raping is always wrong. It doesn't know. It's always there's nothing right about society about rape. Okay, so two different philosophies of law of what rape is. So if laws are subjective, these two societies are not wrong or right. It's just
but Sylvain, according to your example,
Stanley,
first of all, according to your example, go ahead.
Oh my God, glory be to God. You have to.
I don't want to start muting people, man. That's what
allow me to finish my point.
Okay.
So based on a subjective law, subjective mindset. What is a subjective mindset? It means opinionated. It doesn't mean right or wrong. It just means opinion. If I have an opinion, I'm not right. that's just my opinion. If I say I like blue and this person said they like green, that's subjective. So when it comes to morals, that means if we're claiming that morality or laws are subjective, we're saying that raping babies could be right. It depends on the individual, or it's just what you do. I don't do that, but that's what you do. I think it's disgusting, just like I think pepperoni pizza is disgusting. Well, other people love pepperoni pizza. Well, you know what? Pepperoni pizza, raping little babies, no different. Same thing. I don't give a crap. It's just not my thing. No, that is what subjective means. When you say objective, what objective means? Objective means that if everybody in the world believed rape was right, everybody in the entire world believed rape was good, it would still be wrong, because there's an objective law that says rape is wrong, no matter what anybody says. That's what objective moral means. It means there's a higher law other than man's law. We are not the God. There's a God higher. That's what objective versus subjective means. Go ahead.
Now, I disagree with what you're saying. Okay, if we're going to go with the example, let's go to an example. I don't know. Let's go to the example. United States, when they decided to basically go against the war against Iraq, it was subjective. Mm-hmm. It was purely subjective. Was it wrong? Yes, it was. Some people were telling you, no, it was right. But it was still killing people. It was still doing something awful and everything. You think that Americans or everybody around the world would have stopped doing this if you had the objective of saying killing somebody is wrong? We all know that law. We all know this thing, but it doesn't matter that people still. We all know, a lot of people know that killing is wrong, but some people would tell you murder is okay. Well, they wouldn't say killing. They wouldn't say that it's killing. Sorry, they would say that basically it's a war. It's different. I don't agree with your. We live in a society. Please, Sylvain, show me a society that accepts rape like you're saying. Please show me a society like this in 2014. Show me a society that is prosper, that accepting rape, and show me a society that's not going in decay because they're accepting that everybody is getting raped. Please show me a society that everybody else around the world are not doing something, not aiding, not doing things to change that government or that society. Please show me that. But
just because I don't show you that, it doesn't mean it doesn't.
No, because you come with hypothetical. I don't care about hypothetical, Sylvain. Sylvain, I don't care about hypothetical. I care about
one at a time.
What hypothetical?
I don't. I bring real story. What hypothetical did I bring, Sylvain?
Sal
what hypothetical?
Just read.
Go ahead.
Wait. Listen, Sal just read for us a couple of questions ago about a kind doctor versus a masked murderer. Are you talking about two real people that you're looking at?
Yes.
Or are you talking about hypothetical?
No, I'm talking about two real people. I'm talking about what I'm talking about what I said. I'm talking about it could be fine. Forget a doctor. It could be me, and it could be somebody who's doing a murder. Fine.
That's
I think I'm not going hypothetical. I'm going
real. That is
real.
Hypothetical, Stanley.
No, it's not. It's not. It goes to my action. It's not hypothetical, Sylvain. It's not hypothetical. I'm not hypothetical. I'm just telling you exactly what I'm doing. I'm not being hypothetical.
Go to the caller, Sal. Look to see if somebody can call in and correct him on that definition.
Well, until then, man, you gotta keep going, man. Go ahead.
Say it again?
Yeah, I said until then, you could just go ahead. Somebody press one, I'll let you know. Go ahead. You can keep on the dialogue.
Please,
go
ahead.
Sylvain, I'm not being hypothetical. I'm taking my choice. I'm taking
hypothetical
me, and I'm taking me. Can you respect it? I'm taking me as a person, and I'm taking murder that we see every day around the TV. And I'm telling you, I'm asking a question as a person that's not a believer, that I'm doing good action around the world. I am giving my time. I am doing good action and everything, and I could basically show you people that have done good action and everything. And the murderer, that because he's just only Christian, and just like that, he thinks that he's going to be forgiven of it and he's going to go to heaven. Do you find that justifiable?
No. Wait. Does heaven exist? Does heaven exist?
If we believe that your God exists.
So in other words, therefore, all this information that you're giving me, this question that you're giving me, is still a hypothetical question, because it's saying if. It doesn't mean it is. We're saying if a person versus this person, if does not mean is. So we need to understand is what's happening. If means it's not happening, and if it happens, that's hypothetical. I think we need to get definitions right before we come in stuff like this, because that is something that you're saying in the public square, and they're listening to you, and it's not looking good, that you don't even know what the word means.
Yeah, we got a caller. Hold on. We got a caller calling in. Let's go to 615-578. You're live in air.
Yeah. Peace out. This is Lex Vortex. I just want to chime in and say I've never heard, most atheists I know, some of them at least try to be somewhat scientific. If you want to deny the existence of a transistent being, then usually, most atheists, so-called atheists, will have some kind of science. From what I hear, this is just a doubting Thomas. He hasn't come to any conclusions about anything. What the brother was saying about subjective and objective, that's pretty clear. Even just looking at regular scientific laws, that's objective. There's nobody who defies the law of gravity. There's nobody who defies the laws of thermodynamics. There's no, so I'd like to know, this is with all due respect, one of the worst atheists I ever heard, but I need some science, besides just, I don't agree with something. You know what I mean? Like the brother gave him a good example of morality, saying, well, if there's no objectivity, then it's basically opinion, and anyone can have an opinion about whatever. But if there's not laws that's universal that govern the universe, then it will be nothing but chaos. So if you have laws, and as a person who's supposed to be an atheist, you're supposed to be scientific, you know that there are laws, right? There's laws to keep the planets in orbit. There's, laws that govern science. There's laws that govern even the reason why you're able to get on Blog Talk and communicate over wireless transmission. There's laws that govern these things. So that is objectivity.
Amen.
How can you deny something like so? The conversation is getting to the point. That's why to speak to an atheist is almost a waste of time, unless it's a real atheist like Stephen Hawking or someone who can actually give you some type of argument. But I want to make another quick comment on what y'all was commenting on earlier about the creation and whether he proved there's a God or not.
What is your name, sir, first of all?
My name is Lex.
Okay, Lex.
I am Sith Lord. So,
okay, Lex, I just want to...
hold on, let me just finish and then I'm going to let y'all go. When you're talking about is there a God, can you prove there's a God? And he was like, made some silly comment about who created the creator. The thing that wastes my time about atheists is a lot of them don't even study science. This is the thing. They claim to be so scientific, but they don't even study science. Go read any modern-day physicist, work of any physicist, and they'll tell you that because of the nature of time, space, and matter, right, which is all things that decay over time, even the Big Bang, they don't even like to have that discussion because they know in order for it to exist, there had to be something transcendent to make it happen.
I disagree.
And one of the first laws...
Wait, Lex, wait a minute.
Let him respond.
I disagree. Wait, let me respond. First of all, Lawrence Krauss came with basically a speech on the universe out of nothing. So basically, you read that book and basically debates you. Second of all, when you're basically saying to me, because I'm an atheist and I don't know anything scientific, atheist has nothing to do with being scientific. Atheist is very simple. I do not believe there is a God. That's atheist. You could be an atheist who's scientific. You could be an atheist who's not scientific. And agnostic is basically somebody who doesn't know. That's what I am, an atheist agnostic.
Yeah, he's throwing down.
Science has nothing to do with atheist. So that's what I have to ask.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Hey, baby, you eat over there, man. You eat chips over there? Go ahead,
I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. I'm sorry. I just grabbed the chip. I'm sorry about that. But I thought I was on mute. I'm so sorry. But anyway, I thank Lex Vortex. Thanks for calling in and pretty much showing. And I agree with Stanley in the sense where there are different kinds of atheists. There are scientific atheists and there are non-scientific atheists. Atheists only focus on the reasoning that they don't believe that God exists. But in actuality, it's still a strong agnostic. That's all really it is, because both sides don't know. And agnosticism means I don't know. And atheists say, I believe that he doesn't exist, means, again, I don't know. It's still.
Whoa, Sylvain. It's not because I say I don't believe and I don't know are two different things. I don't believe there is a God, and I don't know there is a God are two different things.
Let me ask you something, Stanley. Let me ask you something, Stanley. Go ahead. If I believe 2 + 2 is 4, do I know it?
Yeah, you know it.
No. I didn't say I know. I didn't say I know it. I said if I believe that 2 + 2 is 4, do I know it?
Not necessarily that you know it.
So I don't know it.
Not necessarily that you don't know it. I would think that you would know it, but you're saying to me belief and knowledge. Those are two different claims. One is about belief, and one is about knowledge. You could believe something, but you could be knowledgeable that you don't know it.
You can have. I agree with you. I agree that you know that you don't know it, but I could still believe something, even if it's true. I can believe something to be true and not know it's true. I can believe. I agree with you. I agree with that. Okay, then. So then, to believe means to not know.
No, the belief doesn't mean you don't know.
Oh my goodness!
No, I don't. God. I'm sorry. I don't see it that way. I could be somebody that says, I believe there is a God, but do I know there is a God? No, I don't.
Listen,
Stanley,
it's very simple. It's very simple. I just asked you a simple question, and you answered it beautifully. And then I made use of your answers, and you disagreed with that again? Listen, I asked you if I believe, not know, if I believe that 2 + 2 is 4, do I know it? What's your answer?
You don't. I said no, you don't.
So to believe is to not know it.
No, to believe is to not believe.
Okay,
to not wait. To not believe is to not believe. It has nothing to do with knowledge.
God, look up the word belief.
I can word the word belief. Belief has nothing to do with knowledge.
Look at the word. Look at the word. Are we going to use the word that we all agree on? Look up the word belief.
Are you telling me that belief is the same thing as knowledge? Are you telling me that belief is the same thing as knowledge?
That's what I'm saying.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm going there, Sylvain. I'm not.
What I'm saying to you is, to believe something means to not know it, but to agree with it without proof. If I'm saying 2 + 2, I believe 2 + 2 is 4, versus another person that says I know that's two different ideas here. One can prove it, and the other one just believes it. They don't know it; they just believe it. And you just said I don't know it. So therefore, if you are believing God doesn't exist, and you agree with me that you don't know God exists, but you believe he doesn't exist, you are showing agnosticism, because agnosticism means I don't know, and to believe something without showing the proof means I don't know. And if
Wait a minute. I said agnosticism, I agree with you. Agnosticism, I agree with you. I don't know. Belief is, do you believe? There's two different questions. Do you know that God exists? No, I don't. I don't know if God exists. That's being agnostic. I agree with you. Do you believe that God exists? I don't believe there is. That's two different things. Those are two different questions.
All right, fellas, we got to move on to the next question. We got to move on before the time runs out. Again, this is Debate Talk for You. Let Us Reason, Volume 2. Send me an email. Let me know what you think about the show. And I'm taking questions from the emails as well as the chat room. I already seen the question. I'm going to read it later on. I seen a brother put a question in the chat room. I'm going to read it out later on. But once again, if you have any questions, you can go to the chat room or you can send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. We're going to read out more questions that my special guest has emailed me to ask, live, so everybody can hear the question, and they're both going going to answer the questions both as possible, as best as possible. So we got to get to the next question, guys. And like I said, my brother Stanley Roy sent me a whole bunch of questions. So I know I'm not going to get through all of them, but we're going to go to the next Stanley Roy's question, and let's see what the next one is here. It says, how can we tell the voice of God from a voice in your head? Once again, how can you tell the voice of God from a voice in your head? I'm going to ask my special guest once again, please try to stay on topic, and let's go to Stanley Sylvain. Go ahead.
To answer that question, I would also have to use scripture to support that. God speaks through dreams. God speaks through symbols. God speaks through impressions. God speaks through compassion. He speaks through, and he also speaks audibly, and he speaks mentally. So he can speak in many different ways, and he still applies it. And he also used prophets to speak his word. So God speaks through his word also. So God has many assets of speaking, and speaking is pretty much, the idea of speaking is communicating. And communicating can be done in many ways, not only audibly, but also body language, impressions, things like that. So if I said, I love you, and I was smiling, I said it in my words, but if I gave a smirk and go, well, you know what, I love you, and I rolled my eyes, I said the same words, however, I said something differently with my body, and that actually took precedence over the words that I stated. So there are many different ways that God speaks, and to tell the difference is that you have to always go to a standard to see whether or not it is right or wrong. If the voice is saying, go destroy your family, but God's word says thou shalt not murder, that's not God's voice. That's another voice, either my personal voice or Satan's voice telling me to do such a thing. So I don't go by only the voice, but the scriptures teach us in 1 John chapter 4, verse 1 to 4, to test the spirits, whether it be of God or not. So that's what I do. I test the spirit.
But Brother Sylvain, I'm listening to what you're saying and everything. You know there are many pastors, many Christians listening to what you said, thought that it was God's voice that was talking to them. You even have in your own Bible, Brother Sylvain, that God said, because you say God would never say to kill those people. Is it not true, Brother Sylvain, that God did order the Jew to kill some people because they were invaded, they were basically in their own place? Is it not true also, second of all, Brother Sylvain, that God did say to Abraham, please take your only son, put him somewhere, and he almost killed him before God said, I changed my mind, because he wanted to make sure that Abraham was basically obeying him. So when you're saying God doesn't do those things, how do you know?
Okay, good. Step number one, you're bringing up scripture that you yourself don't understand. And that clearly is the situation, because if you're going there with a particular mindset, you're obviously going to see whatever you want from there. And when you're taking examples of like Abraham, or during the times of the time when they were a theocratic nation compared to a democratic nation, and then you looking from a democratic mindset, looking back towards a theocratic nation with the democratic mindset, of course God said those things at that time. Of course, there were many people that said things that was messed up at the time, and there were many things during the time in our time before the democracy came about, like Christopher Columbus did certain things like that, and yet this nation still have a holiday for him. So there are many things there in the past, and societies in the past, and regimes in the past that were following particular guidelines and rules and laws, but it doesn't take away from the character of God. It just means that God was working with a theocratic nation at the time. But the question we have to ask is, today, in a democratic society, would God still do that? Now, that's what you have to prove. That if you see in the Bible there was a democratic society, and God went into that democratic society and caused people to do those things that you're accusing him of, then now we have an argument that would propose against me.
But Brother Sylvain, I'm listening to what you're saying. What did I say that was not true? Because I don't accept apology from you of saying this. I don't accept the covering. Didn't I say You're saying I didn't read Scripture. I did read Scripture like you did. So first of all, you're insulting my character right now by saying I didn't read when I did.
I didn't say you're reading.
Wait, no, yes, you did. You just said it, and I retape it. You just said it.
Please re-listen to it again. That's not what I said.
You didn't say. You said it. You said you cannot. You didn't read Scripture. I did. What I said to you.
I said
really
you're not reading it in context.
There was no context, Brother Sylvain. Brother Sylvain. Where is the context when I'm saying to you, did or did it happen? Yes or no? There's no contest when God is telling you to take your son and basically sacrifice him for him. There's no contest with that. It's either it did happen, Stanley, or it didn't. I expect you as a pastor to tell me the truth. No, Stanley, it didn't happen. This is what happened. Yes, Stanley, it happened. That's the honesty that came up from you last time we talked.
Are we finished now? Can I speak without interrupting?
I'm asking you the question because you're going against my character. Did it happen or not? Did God say those things, yes or no?
He's repeating himself.
And Stanley Roy, make sure when he does answer, let him finish when he answers.
Go ahead.
People are listening, taking down notes, things of that nature.
Okay. I need to correct something. Step number one, I didn't say that you didn't read it. Obviously, you had to have read it if you're speaking about it, so I did not say that. So I said reading it with this mindset, and I made sure I made that clear, and anybody can call in and say whether or not I was right or wrong. Please defend me on this one because I know you guys heard the truth. So now, step number one, so I didn't attack your character because that was, in fact, you called me a liar if you said I did that. So now, in actuality, to answer the question, did it happen? I didn't say it did not happen. And again, that's another thing. If you heard my first answer, you would have heard I clearly said this happened in this way, in a theocratic nation, during a theocratic time. I made sure I presented context. Theocratic. I said you're going into a theocratic time period with a democratic mindset. I clearly showing you two different contexts. Democratic mindset, context one. Theocratic context, context number two. Did those things happen during the theocratic context? Yes, it did. During that time, it was applicable. It was not wrong for those things to happen at the time. But if you can show me, this is what I stated, that same theocratic God during a democratic society still acted that way, and then I can say you have an argument against me. But until then, you just have assertions of two different contexts, and you're trying to compare apples and oranges. You're saying, how come the seed in the apple is different from the seed in the orange? That's a contradiction. No, because they're fruits. They're fruits. That's ridiculous. There are two different contexts. Apple has apple seeds, orange has orange seeds. Theocratic nation, yes, there's killings in those things. Democratic nation, murder, a lot of murder and a lot of stuff that's happening during the democratic nation are criminal. They're considered to be crimes. So you cannot compare apples and oranges in here like you're doing right now. And then I did not say those things about you. But go ahead.
Okay, so basically, Brother Sylvain, you're telling me that if I could show you during that time that basically other people had other philosophy that was, what do you want me to show you precisely?
What do I want you to show? Oh, I want you to show me that God.
During that time, if I remember. Also.
No. Go ahead. I said, if you can show me that God went to a democratic nation, even in the scriptures, if you could show a democratic nation in the scriptures, and you can show unto a democratic nation and still acted that way during the
No, I'm not going to. But brother, Sylvain, I'm not going to democratic. I'm going to what you're saying, not democratic.
That's what I said.
Abraham during that time.
That's not democratic. That's not democratic. That's theocratic.
Yeah, during that time. What do you want me to show you during that time? Because you're saying democratic.
You're asking me to show you something. You want me to ask you to show me something in the Bible during that time? Is that what you're asking me to do?
No, you said you wanted me to show you something. That's what I'm trying to understand. What is your defense during that time? Because what is your purpose of saying that? Are you saying that during that time it was normal that those things was happening? So it justified God from doing it? What are you trying to tell me? I'm trying to understand. I don't understand what you're saying.
I see what you're asking. I didn't understand your question because your question was confusing. But now I understand what your question is. Your question is pretty much saying you're asking me, am I saying that during a theocratic time period, was it okay for killings to be done, particular killings to be done? I said yes, it was lawful. It was a law thing. If a person commits a crime, you can either be put to death or you can be enslaved. It's part of it. And also when it comes to war, there were rules of war. There were prisoners of war. There were things that happened during the time of war that today, that when we look from a democratic mindset, we may cringe. But it doesn't mean that the individuals were wicked. They were following theocratic society, the laws of theocratic society.
But Brother Sylvain, was it wrong or was it right? Period.
Oh, you see, now a subjective individual.
No, it's not. It's not subjective. I'm asking you, as a human being, was it right or was it wrong?
Sal,
not exactly. Go ahead.
Are you there?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good. Like I was saying, a subjective individual is asking a person that believes in objectivity, was it right or was it wrong? From an objective standpoint, was that during the theocratic nation, that was not wrong. If God said it, and God was the king of Israel at the time, the king of kings at the time, and to commit a crime or a wickedness can cause death upon an individual, and that individual dies, then it was not wrong. That's law. Just like during the time of Julius Caesar, during the time of all of them. When they were king, people died. Today, this still happens in many monarch countries, that if somebody commits a crime, the king ruled death upon the individual. We do it today in a democratic society. When a person commits a particular crime, they can be punished to death. So things like that is not a wrong thing. It is lawful. Nothing wrong with it.
Wow. I disagree completely to what you said.
That's your opinion. It's subjective.
So I disagree completely. You just took. Let me tell you what you just did, and that's my opinion. You just took your humanity and you just blow it away.
No, that's
you just
your opinion anyway.
You said God. You said, and I want to make sure that I understood what you said. God is the ruler. God is like the king. So if God tomorrow decide to say that rape, killing, during that time is condemned because God said so, it is normal, it is good, it is okay. So basically your opinion does not have nothing to do with that, Stanley, because God is the ultimate ruler, he is the king, so he has the right to do whatever he wants with you. And that is the reason I'm an atheist.
Well, that's nice, because if I had your mindset, I can say that hypothetical about you as well, because now you was diminishing the idea of bringing hypotheticals to the forefront, and now here you go again, bringing it up again about if a God during that time said things like, said that it's okay to rape everybody, or it's okay to rape all these things, then you're bringing a hypothetical God now. You're not bringing the God of the Bible anymore now. You're bringing a hypothetical God. But you said no hypotheticals in this talk. And you continue.
No. I'm going exactly to what you said 2 minutes ago. I'm not inventing things. I'm going exactly to what you said, Brother Sylvain. You said that God during that time.
I wasn't finished, Sal. I wasn't finished.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You can finish.
Okay. Okay. So then, so pretty much, hypotheticals are in. That's what you're bringing me down. Now you're bringing hypotheticals are in the concept because you're bringing it in now. Okay, so you're saying if God decides to do this is hypothetical. My thing is God won't do that. So you see there's a difference. But you can bring an if. I can say an if about you too if you decide to kill everybody. But you're going to say that's not reality. That's not who you are. But okay, if that's the case, then let's be real. That is not. That's not the God that. Whoa. I'm not finished, Stanley. That is not the God that we are referring to when we are speaking about in the scriptures. The one that you are against is a hypothetical God that you're creating, and that's why you're an atheist.
Okay, but Brother Sylvain, are you telling me, I'm not going hypothetical, let's go to the fact, you're saying that I'm going hypothetical. Okay, we could go to the verse and everything of saying what the Bible's saying and everything, that those things did happen and God didn't do anything about it to say to us it's not okay.
Then why you say
and you know there's many stories in it. I don't even have to do that. You're a pastor. You know those things.
Then why you said if?
Why are you defending? Why are you acting like those things are not in the Bible when you should be the one saying that it is? Is it not true that rape is in the Bible?
God said to rape
I'm
everybody?
asking you, Mr. Brother Sylvain, is it not true that
no.
rape is in the Bible? Yes or no? Because you're saying that it's not.
Hold on, Sylvain, because you're talking as he's talking too, Sylvain. So, I'm trying to control the whole situation. Go ahead, Sylvain, go ahead.
You said everybody, Stanley. You said everybody. Rape everybody. Are you telling me that you can find a scripture where God said to rape everybody?
Brother Sylvain, I don't know the Bible as much as you do with all this.
It's not there.
I'm asking,
it's not there.
Brother Sylvain, okay, it's not everybody, but is it not? Okay. Before going, you like to go precise. Can you just put the precise out? I'm asking you a question. I don't know the Bible as much as you do. So please stop defending it like it's this and that. I'm asking you the question, and I'm being honest. Fine.
I'm not defending the Bible. I'm defending.
Okay, fine. I don't know it perfectly, every verse that it's saying. I'm asking you, does not the Bible say that rape is okay?
No.
Does it not God? Okay, so if I take a verse that basically says that a woman gets raped, and basically during that time, because you keep on remarrying me, during that time, that if a woman got raped, that basically the rapist, the person who got raped had to marry the person who was the rapist. Doesn't the Bible says that?
It doesn't say rape.
It doesn't say rape. So if I go get a verse that says exactly what I said, what are you going to say?
Well, you have to tell me which version you're reading it from. All these things. But bring the verse. Let's bring it. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to show you.
Deuteronomy 22:28, verse Deuteronomy verse 22 to 28 to 29.
Okay.
It's exactly what I said. I didn't invent it. It said if a man is caught in the act of raping, you said it's no rape. So this is what I said.
No.
Exactly what I said.
It's not
if
rape.
A man
it's not rape.
Brother Sylvain, can I finish? Brother Sylvain, can I finish the quote?
What's the verse? What's the scripture?
Deuteronomy 22.
I'm there.
Verse 29 to 28, 29.
Okay.
Okay? If a man is caught in the act of raping a young woman who is not engaged, he must pay 50 pieces of silver to her father. Then he must marry the young woman because he violated her, and he will never be allowed to divorce her. That's exactly what I said, Brother Sylvain.
Okay. You see, the word rape, what version are you reading, by the way?
Brother Sylvain, I don't need to read any version. I'm reading it directly. Brother Sylvain, I am reading it directly by
Stanley.
Go ahead.
You have to you have to be reasonable right now. And I'm trying to keep you in a reasonable mindset. Versions matter. Why do I say
no, it doesn't matter for people
Would you listen?
Hold on,
Roy,
let him finish.
You have to listen to why I say this statement, versions matter. Don't cut me off. Now, if I said versions matter, it means something. Why do I say that? Because one is interpreting the Hebrew word there, and they see it as rape. Another English one, like the one I'm reading right now, it doesn't say rape. Now, you know what it says? It says, now, you're going to say, wait a minute, that's the same thing. Not necessarily. Forcing can be in multiple matters. It could be through coercion. It could be through temptation. If a person doesn't want something initially, and I encourage this individual and slept with this individual by deception, and then the person still consensually had sex with me, the scriptures can still define that as he forced her. So another version you may say, hey, force has force? It raped her. And then his brother Stanley Roy comes in, he picks up that one. And then he says, the Bible says he raped. God said it's okay to rape. And then
That's why I'm an atheist.
But Brother Sylvain, you're basically Brother Sylvain. You're covering it up
Wait a minute, Stanley. You're very hyper. Calm down. Listen, what I'm trying to help you to do is that when you are studying Scripture, you got to take. If you want to judge it carefully, then judge it right. Be right about it. You don't take one version. Wait a minute. Well, if you're going to make a judgment like that and condemn something, and then you tell them, and you want me to explain what you already have condemned in your mind by only reading one person's view on it, that is step number one. Terrible judgment. You don't take one person's story and think it's true. That's ridiculous. Nobody does that in any society. So, Brother
Sylvain, you're covering it up because you told me, Brother Sylvain. Go ahead.
Lord have mercy. Listen. Now, if that still means rape, does that mean that God said it was okay? Or did that, listen carefully, or Moses said it was okay? Very important point. Why do I say that? Listen, you see, you have to be open-minded, Stanley. And that's why, if we want to be reasonable and have good conversation, open-mindedness is very important and key into these conversations. Now, Jesus had stated that God did not want divorce. But Moses allowed divorce because of the hardening of your heart. So then we have Moses saying something, and we have God ultimately saying something. So Jesus said, yes, Moses said this, but God said this. You're reading to me Deuteronomy. Who's the author of Deuteronomy? That's Moses. Did Moses allow certain things to happen that God gave him the authority to do?
Well,
yes.
I'm sorry, Brother Sylvain, am I going to say something because you keep on saying things? But you want me? Wait. Let me go say it. I'll say.
I gotta let Roy. I gotta let Roy talk. Go ahead, Roy. Go ahead.
Because I'm listening to you and you're preaching. I'm sorry. As an atheist, you're covering up. Period. You really are covering up. Because as a person who's a believer or not a believer, I expect you as a pastor to take what I've ever said. If I say something wrong, not covering up, say, what version do you do? Was it Moses? Was it? No. I expect you to say, this is what the Bible said and defend it. Not covering up all the time. For 5 minutes, you've been covering up. For 5 minutes, you said it didn't say rape. And when I said, are you sure? And when I came and said exactly what he said, you said you don't know what version are you using because you were wrong. You couldn't say you were wrong in everything. You couldn't say, well, in my version, I hear this, but your version that you're reading says rape. We have a problem. You come with all the excuses, and you're not the only pastor that, because you know it is wrong. And if I prove just a little bit that your Bible is wrong, you're done with your God. You're done. And that's the thing that you can't deal with.
I can talk now? Oh, am I on?
The floor, brother. Go ahead. You back on.
Okay. He calls giving a full explanation as covering up. I'm giving a full explanation of this is. I'm not saying it doesn't say rape in your version. I never said that. So you telling the audience I said that. I said it doesn't say rape. That's what I said. So now you show me a version where it said rape. Okay. So now the question is, what version are you reading? Why do I say that? Because I can write up a Bible right now. If I write up a Bible right now and use my own words, and 10 years later, another guy like Roy comes in and picks up my Bible, and he's going to say, hey, the Bible says this. But you know who really said that? I said that. The Bible didn't say that. So what is the Bible? The Bible is not the version that you're reading. It is the original text. It is the words behind it, the Hebrew word, the Greek word. That's the Bible. What we have here, these English versions, that's the reason why we have to look behind the words so that we can get the true meaning of it. I mean, you call it as covering up, I'm giving you honesty, straight honesty. I am showing you how to study the Bible. And yes, if there's something in there in the Bible that it may seem wrong, I'll question it. And in this case here, I've addressed this before. I've spoken about this before. I understand this topic already. You call it as covering up, I call it as truth. And if you think truth is covering up, then that means you don't want the truth, brother. That's all I get from that.
I have a lot more questions, like I said, for my special guest, And once again, my special guests email me some questions, and they're going to just dialogue, and hopefully you guys are, taking down some good information. And we're going to go to the callers later on. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. You could actually call in now and press the number 1 and stand by, so I could go down in order and take your questions again. Due to the high volume of callers, please make your questions and comments brief as possible. I'm trying to get to as much people as possible. We only have like about 33 minutes on the air, so, we're going to try to make use of this time. But let me read out the next question. And, again, like I said, my brother Stan Roy sent me a whole lot of questions, so let's get into his questions right here. Let's go to the next one. Which one did I see? Okay, it says, if God is our Father, why does he allow free will to harm his children? Again, if God is our Father, why does he allow free will to harm his children? So let's go back and open up the phone lines. Stanley Sylvain, you can go ahead. Bro.
Yes. That's a good question. Now we're getting down to the meat of this debate. Free will is extremely important. Why is free will important? Without free will, would we stop having evil in the world? I'm going to say with a resounding yes. There will be no more evil in the world. However, you have to also include we will not have true love, meaning the love that you choose. If the beautiful thing that my wife and I have, you see, when I asked her to marry me, what's so beautiful about her decision is that she had the option to say no, but she chose to say yes, and that freedom of choice allowed me to appreciate that response. Now, if she said yes because I programmed her to say yes, then it would not mean much to me anyway. Why? Because I already knew it. I programmed it that way. When we program things to work a particular way for us, it is not the same when you know the individual is doing it with the freedom. God is a free will God, and therefore he wants to make his creatures like himself, to be free to choose love and to choose him and to choose us. Now, the beautiful thing about that is that's how you weed out the wicked. What do you mean by that? If I bring free will in this place, and there's wicked people, there's people that's choosing wicked, and there's people that's choosing righteous. But they're choosing righteous under the atmosphere of a wicked society and a wicked world, and they're still choosing to do right in the midst of that. These individuals would die to be right, and to die to live what's for moral righteousness, than to live in evil. So in an evil society. So these individuals, when they come across in another world or in another land where the evil society is gone, now they're going to have individuals that truly loves God without temptation. And that is the love that God is looking for. So he's still part of this. He's still in the part of the creation process right now. So that's my answer, that free will was needed because it gives true love.
Well, Brother Sylvain, I don't agree with that answer, but let me get it the best way and everything. Brother Sylvain, isn't God could see the future, the past, and the present, right?
Yes.
Okay, and God could basically decide he's basically the creator of everything. So if God could see the past, the present, and the future, where's the free will? God knows what you're going to do before you know it, before you've done it. So you don't have free will. You don't have free will. God knows that tonight I was going to call you and I was going to debate against him. So where's the free will? There's no free will. God could have decided, look, I don't want no Stanley to come in this world. Or God could have decided, I don't want no murderers to come into this world at all because I want my children to be happy. Where's the free will?
Done? Okay. Now, to answer your question, I disagree with number one with the statement because you answered your own question, which I disagree with. You said, where's the free will? There's no free will. So you answered your own question with this. I disagree with that answer. I believe that you can still have free will even if someone has a knowledge of what you're going to do freely. God, just because he knows what you're going to use your freedom to do, it doesn't mean that you did not have freedom to do it. That's two different things. Your freedom to choose is different from God's knowledge of your freedom to choose. You need to compare. You're making a category error right now. You're adding God's knowledge of something that's going to happen versus the something that's happening. Two different things.
No. Okay,
I'm not finished, Stanley. Stanley, I allowed you to speak without interruption. I'm please exercise the same respect. Okay. So now, if I decide, God said, I know what's going to happen. Yes. And I know what he's going to use his freedom to choose. I give him the gift to freely choose something, although I know it, but it doesn't mean that it has but it's not going to affect what he's going to do. I just happen to know. Just because God knows something, that's just having knowledge of. That has nothing to do with the act itself. I have a videotape. I have a DVD. I put the DVD in. I've seen the movie 10 million times. When I watch Rush Hour, for instance, I know what Jackie Chan's going to do at the end of the movie. Did I make him do it because I know it? No, he still chose to do it. That was his choice. That has nothing to do with my knowledge of it. Nothing. Knowledge of something is, if I know that a truck is about to hit the wall, if I know this and it hits the wall, what, now are you saying that my knowledge of it took away the free will of the individual driving the truck? No, it has nothing to do with it. He didn't even know I know anything. I just know it because I see it happening. I see it about to happen. So you're making a category error of God's knowledge of something versus the something acting itself. You need to keep them separate.
Okay, I don't agree. No, it's the thing I'm coming back and you're not answering the question is, if God knows that evil is going to come to his own people and everything, and God decides to still keep it, he's secretly evil also. Because you just said, I just asked you the question. Can you don't interrupt me when I'm talking. You just asked it. I asked you the question and everything. Does God knows everything? Yes, he does. So he knows the past, the present, and the future. Why would God bring evil in this world, bring bad things to his own people when he knows that with his knowledge? It's not because he doesn't know. He knows this. He knows it before even I was born. He knows everything I'm going to do. Why he doesn't decide to say, you know what, I'm going to take out Stanley. Not even me, because I don't think I did something bad. Let's say he said, you know what, I know Hitler's going to do bad things. He's going to kill my own people. Let me take him out. You think millions of people would have not appreciated that? You think that God needed to do that and everything to prove his point?
Another question.
God had all the knowledge in the world and everything, and the free will and everything. God could have basically took his own power and say, you know what, you're going to kill my own people, which I'm supposed to protect. Nah, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to take you out because I know what you're going to do. That's where responsibility, accountability is. We as human beings, I can't do that. It would be like me as a human being.
What's your question, Stanley?
The question is, where is God's responsibility when it comes to harming his own people? Where is his responsibility? Because you make it sound like God has no responsibility, no accountability when he knows the past, the present, and the future.
Okay, now, I'd like to respond to that. And except when you asked plenty of questions in between your statement, but I'm only going to respond to the last one about the responsibility part. Just because, again, a person knows something, I just want to say a general statement. Just because somebody knows something is going to happen doesn't necessarily mean that they're responsible for something. Just because of that, no. However, one can be responsible if they are leading it. How? Now, God can know something. Now, I play chess. I don't know if you play chess, Stanley, but I play chess. Chess players, if anybody's familiar with chess, you will understand what I'm saying. A chess master knows exactly what you're going to do 20 moves ahead of time before you do it. He's not making you do it. He's leading you that way. And it's causing you that he pretty much has plans way ahead of time. Just because of that, it doesn't necessarily mean that that you just still won't have a choice anymore. Your choice is still free. So now, here comes the responsibility of the act. this is where God's providence come in. Let's think about the story of Joseph. The story of Joseph. Did he knew that Joseph would have been enslaved by his brothers? Yeah, he knew that. Did he knew that he was going to be accused of rape and put in jail? Of course he knew that. And he also knew that if that did not happen, he would not have met the wine dresser there, and that wine dresser understood his gift of prophecy. So when the Pharaoh, when the wine dresser was released from prison, the Pharaoh had a dream, given by God, by the way, and allowed the wine dresser to say, hey, there was a guy in the prison cell I met named Joseph. Joseph, he is able to do that. So with that said, Joseph became one of the rulers of Egypt. What was the big point of that? If Joseph was not the ruler of Egypt, his people, the Israelites, would have died in a famine of 14 years. 7 years. They would have died in the land. If Joseph's brothers were not jealous of him and sold him into slavery, they would have died. So sometimes God allows evil to happen, and he, like a chess master would, make the better moves and lead it to something greater because he saw something was going to happen. He saw the famine was coming, and he was preparing for the famine. So God has a greater good for the things that he do ahead of time.
The problem I have with what you're saying, Brother Sylvain, is if we're going to take one of the worst tragedies that happened, which was the Holocaust, I don't think that nobody in this world could say that God had a purpose with that when how many million people got killed and died? His own people got killed and died. And even his own people were saying, where is God? I was reading a book that was basically saying one of the Holocaust, reading it. And it is very tragic when you read what they went through. Even you as a person who's a believer in God, I think you would have a hard time. When one verse he said, we had one case, and he said tragically that we had to hang a kid in front of everybody for 30 minutes and see it. Yeah. Now, how can Almighty God tell me there was a purpose that happened, Stanley? There was a purpose that he allowed this tragedy to happen. I don't dispute that Hitler or whatever the German did the act. I dispute that God could have chose to do something different. I dispute that God, you, or anybody, me and you, and I've said it last time when we talked, I could have done a better job than that. That's what I dispute. I could have done a better job than that, not allow 1 million and more people to get killed. I could have done something better by saying, you know what, Hitler, you're done. And I'm sure, and please prove me wrong, that if Hitler would have been God, please prove me wrong that millions of people would have not been better in this world. Please prove me wrong. Where is your Almighty God with his invention?
You're repeating
and
yourself,
creation?
Stanley. You're repeating yourself.
I'm repeating myself like you are repeating yourself.
No, I'm not. I always give you new points. I don't repeat the same point.
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay.
You do.
Sylvain, you can answer.
Okay. Let's not do that. You and I not do that. Let's just move on so it gets faster. All right. Anyway, I want to get to the point of the idea that you are focusing too much about this life. The scriptures teach that this life, everybody, practically everyone, will end up dead. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore, this life here is not the end according to the scriptures. You agree?
Yeah, according if you believe there is a God. I don't believe there is a God.
Yeah,
so but in my eyes, this life is the only life. Concerning me and people who doesn't believe in God, we believe this life is your only life. It's your only choice in life.
Stanley,
that's what I believe. Go ahead.
Stanley, thank you. Please. Okay. What I'm trying to explain to you, Stanley, is that you're asking me questions on the basis of the God from the Bible that he does exist. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm going to exactly what I asked you before.
So, I know, but it's on the basis on the idea that God of the Bible exists, and you explaining how wicked this God is if he exists. All right?
Is that how you asking me?
You know exactly where I'm going.
Then that's the reason why. So that's the reason why your statement about that you don't believe that God exists at this moment is irrelevant to state now. So what I'm explaining to you here is based on the idea that God exists. So now, if God exists, we have to understand that God of the Bible is teaching that everybody dies in this life. So this life is not the end. So for you to take an atheistic, non-God mindset and try to apply it to a Bible that's teaching the existence of God. So in your mindset, if there is no God, of course there wouldn't be no good reason for a person to choke and die in Hitler in the Nazi regime. However, if you think about the time of Moses, when the children of Israel were enslaved for 400 years, during the time of the 250th year, somebody probably was being raped or tortured at that time. But still, overall, when they came out of it, was there a better purpose for that? Yes. Just like, can we see it today about a good purpose of the Nazis doing? But we don't see it today. But God sees it way ahead of time, the purpose of things that's happening. And he knows that this life is not the end anyway. We don't know the situations of why a person died and what better reasons. God's going to explain that stuff to you at the end. In the meantime, all we have to do is trust him.
All right, time is up. But we got to go to the people. We have a lot of questions for the people out there. Once again, you know that number, 646-716-7320. Press the number 1 and we can add you to the conversation. If you're listening on social media, again, just dial that number via phone or via Skype. And I heard that there's a way on Facebook you can call, too. I got to figure that out, straight from Facebook. But, yeah, you can actually call in. So let's go to the next call. Let's go to 516-754. Live on the Big Talk Field.
Hey, what it do, man, Brother Sal? It's RB. Man, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Hello? I'm good. How y'all doing, man? I'm listening to the debate. What up, brothers? Both of y'all. How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on?
All right, I'm good, man. But, yeah, I'm probably switching the subject a little bit on this or whatever. And, a lot of atheist cats come on the show or whatever, and, they get misled. They get over here, they try to disprove the Bible using the Bible. And as Brother Stanley always say, you can't do that. You know what I mean? These guys, a lot of those guys, they're very intelligent people. You know what I mean? So they looked at it. You're not going to disprove the Bible with the Bible. However, there's a couple things that I do want to discuss. And one of the things I want to discuss is the fact that, a lot of people who don't believe in evolution, they say that there's a difference between micro and macro evolution.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my question is for, Brother Stanley, Stanley Sylvain.
There you go.
And, let me ask you, all right, you said that you believe in microevolution, correct?
Stanley Sylvain or Stanley Roy?
I didn't even talk about evolution at all. I'm not a...
No, I'm sorry. Stanley Roy.
No, I didn't talk about evolution at all. We didn't talk about that at all. No question. No question on evolution.
No. All right, my question is not for you. The question is for the creation, brother.
Oh, okay. Sylvain, I'm the creation. I'm the Christian.
All right, yeah, Sylvain. Sylvain, I'm sorry, buddy.
That's okay.
All right, yeah, okay.
Go ahead, what do I believe? What are you asking? Your question?
No, I'm asking if you believe, yes, do you believe in microevolution?
In micro or macro?
Which one do you believe in? You make a separation out of it. Okay.
I believe in microevolution. I believe microevolution is scientific. It can be observed. You can see that change because of small changes that you can actually observe under a microscope. It can be tested. However, macroevolution is theoretical. It cannot be observed by the vision because you need millions of years to see this change. And we haven't, in this time, have ever experienced a million years to see that change happen. So that's a theory that cannot be proven. However, we can clearly see it.
Okay, so microevolution, what would you consider microevolution? Like, you have
the change of dogs. Like, dog. Like, you see all the variety of dogs. Mm-hmm. If you look at the variety of dogs, you can see one dog from the fossil. You can see the fossil of the dog changing from one kind to another kind.
You can see that with the finches of birds. You can see that with the fishes. With the fish, I mean, that you can see about the over time the fins have changed, have grown, and over time these things have developed. And so because of that, microevolution is observed. You can actually be tested. You can actually see it change.
All right. So you believe that a hummingbird and a hawk, they come from the same family or the same kind, or no?
They're definitely the same kind. They're birds. That's
okay, so have you ever seen a hawk give birth to a hummingbird?
No.
All right, so why do you believe that they are the same kind?
Okay, it's almost like this. I am a man, a black man. I'm married to a black woman, but eventually, if there's down the line that my wife has any white Caucasians in her family, it's a possibility that my child can turn out to be a white child, or come out extremely light, and then her and I are brown-skinned individuals. You know what I mean? So this is something like that. So we're talking about the same kind. What I mean by kind is that they can reproduce. A white woman and a black man can still produce a child. Why?
All right, hold on. All right, but you just switched it. I asked you about a hummingbird. So a hummingbird and a hawk, they can reproduce together?
They're the same kind. No, I don't believe. I don't know. I don't have scientific information as far as them being able to reproduce together. No, but I can say that they're the same kind in that they are under the category of being birds.
Okay, so what defines a bird kind?
A bird kind, well, it has to have the features of the bird. It has to have the feathers. It has to have the wings. It has to have the tail. It has to have the beak. It has to have everything that provides the features of the bird.
Okay, so what separates a chimpanzee from a humankind? We have all the same features. I mean, using the same logic.
We have a lot of features. We have a lot of features that separate. But the thing about it is a chimpanzee and a human being cannot reproduce together. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, but a hawk and a hummingbird can't reproduce either.
But
you believe that they're the same? Yes, I'm sure about that.
I don't know.
Okay, can a domestic cat reproduce with a lion?
No.
Are they the
okay,
same kind?
So that would disprove that point. You're right. That would disprove the idea of an ape and a human being. So you can find that those of the same kind, that within that same kind they can't reproduce with each other as well. He's right. So that's not a good argument. That's not a good argument. Yeah, go ahead.
The point that I'm trying to make.
The only point that I would add to what Sylvain is saying, the reason that we could put something in common with the human and chimpanzee and everything is because DNA proves that we have the same number of chromosomes. That's the only proof that basically, if DNA didn't prove that point, and a lot of evolutionists would tell you that, you would destroy. If tomorrow you would prove that we don't have the same number of chromosomes as apes, you destroy evolution just like that.
Check it.
Yeah, just that proof basically reinforces everything.
No.
But check
this out.
Chromosomes. You can show something that has more chromosomes. I can show flowers that has more chromosomes than an ape. But it doesn't.
It is the number of. It's not just the number of chromosomes. There is one chromosome in the human being that's basically you cannot see it and everything. And basically, scientific people found out maybe 3 years ago that study. They took a blood of an ape and the blood of a human being, and they had one. We have one chromosome that basically is not there. It doesn't show in everything, and it said. Basically, that explains, that is the best proof they have to show evolution. If you want to get more information on that, you would need to talk to an expert who knows those things, because you're talking somebody, I'm not an expert in evolution, I didn't study that, I don't have a PhD. Why don't you ask those questions to people who have PhD?
What's the point?
My point is, why don't you go get the expert who knows those questions? It would be like the pastor that you have right now, Sylvain, knows about the church and the Bible more than me. I will not doubt him what he says. You're asking him a question that, why don't you go get the expert that knows those questions?
No. You misinterpreting my point. That's the point I was going to make, because you actually bring up an excellent point, and that's what I was going to talk about. The chromosome that you're talking about is human chromosome 2, and this is like the death blow, showing that humans and apes share a common ancestor. At human chromosome 2, when you look at it, it has telomeres at points where telomeres should not be in the chromosome.
Yeah.
It actually has it in the middle.
Can I ask you something?
I'm
so sorry. Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Do you agree that there are maybe you already know that, but do you agree that there are people that believe in the Bible and believe in God still believe in evolution simultaneously? You do agree with that, right?
Oh, of course. You're 100% correct.
Okay. All right, you can continue. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's one of the things that I struggle with or whatever. You know what I mean? Because when you start
I cannot answer your questions. Yeah, I cannot really. I'm doing the best I can to answer from my limited knowledge when it comes to evolution. But I'm not like Stanley Roy said. I'm not an expert on it. I can only give you the limited knowledge that I have about it. But I'm sure that there's a lot of resources out there that could probably get answered a lot better. If you listen to Christian scientists, people that believe or even disprove the idea of evolution could answer your questions a lot better than I can. Like if you get
Mm-hmm. No, I
like Kent Hovind,
Well,
but I'm not a Christian. I'm not Christian scientist. Forgive me. I have to take away from that. I met creation scientists.
Definitely understandable, and I definitely feel you, brother, because everything that you say makes absolute sense when you look at the Bible. Every single thing that you say makes absolute sense when you talk about the Bible. So when brothers come up here and they try to disprove the Bible by using the Bible, you're not going to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Amen.
The point that I'm coming from, when you ask somebody like me why it's hard for me to believe the biblical narrative, it's because when I look at stuff like this, like human chromosome 2, and, when people say
that actually help you believe
small term.
That actually helps you believe, that strengthens your faith?
Well, no, it doesn't strengthen my faith in anything. It just makes me not believe that the biblical, story that God created humans separate from apes and everything else, so that we don't share common ancestors. That makes me, that makes me not believe it.
I definitely want to suggest you take, maybe you already did already, I'm not sure, but take a look at Christian scientists' studies on that, and listen to both arguments on that. I thought there was some really good arguments for both sides of the fence. I listened to people like, Catholics believe in evolution.
Most definitely.
And people like William Lane Craig, they're evolutionists, but yet they're still Christian. However, you have other people like Dr. Kent Hovind and his son Eric Hovind and others that are creation scientists, and they disprove the idea of evolution, and they still use the Bible to support it, and then they do a really, really good job doing that. So and there's a lot of seminars on YouTube. You can find seminars on YouTube on Dr. Kent Hovind breaking the creation story down, the dinosaur story down, and actually using the Bible to support these things with fossils and evolution arguments and stuff like that. It's really cool. I learned a lot from it, but not enough to explain it to you. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely understand. Of course, I went through all of that before I called up. And, I've been studying this stuff for a few years. And, I'll just tell you right now, Dr. Kent Hovind and a lot of these guys, they do not hold any, weight in the scientific community, because they say, some crazy things. And, if you actually go on the YouTube community, you'll see that there's actually people who built a career just refuting a lot of the stuff that these creationist dudes are saying. And, of course, it's like, all right, you're going to pick and choose what you want to believe in. But when we start looking at, the scientific evidence, like you go on PubMed and you see stuff about human chromosome 2, you're going to find thousands of articles. You understand what I'm saying? But when you look at William Lane Craig, for example, or who's another one, just any of these creation scientists do, they're not being quoted by anybody.
No. William Lane Craig is not a creation scientist. William Lane Craig is an evolutionist. He's an evolutionist.
He's an evolutionist? He doesn't believe in creation?
No, he believes in creation. He believes that God uses the means of evolution to create. He's an evolutionist. You can listen to his debates many times. He believes in the evolutionist Dinesh D'Souza. He believes that he's an evolutionist. There are many of them that are evolutionists, but Dr. Kent Hovind disagrees with them.
Can I ask a question Can I ask a question to the person who just called? What is your name?
Sure. What's up, man? My name is Bradley B. What up?
Bradley, you said that as an atheist, I can't use the Bible to prove the. What did you say? I can't use the Bible
to disprove the Bible. Yes.
To disprove the Bible. Why can't I use the Bible to disprove the Bible?
Because let me ask you this, man. You think that, it's like this, man. I study the history of the Bible. And
okay. You study the history of the Bible. Let me ask you a question that I'm sure the pastor knows, and I just found out Pastor asked me, Sylvain asked me to read some stuff. Sylvain, I've read some stuff that you told me to read, and some debate. Okay, since you read the Bible, how did the New Testament how did we have the New Testament? Since you read the Bible,
how we had the New Testament.
Yeah.
How did it come? How did they write it? Well,
yeah. How did
most Christians will tell you. I mean, of course, there were different testimonies going around at the time. However, like at the Nicene Creed, they came together and they basically took the testimonies of what was actually being taught for the original churches and things like that. And they came up with what made sense or whatever, and what was consistent with it. And certain things just didn't make sense, and it didn't go along with what was being taught. So certain things were thrown out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Good. Do you know how many Christians knows that?
I don't know.
Yeah, Stanley Roy called this drop.
Oh.
Yeah, call back right away because we only have like 3 minutes on the air, guys. So hopefully he calls right back. But just let people know, if you're listening via internet, if you're listening at Blog Talk Radio, in 3 minutes we're going to go off the air. And the only way you can hear the rest of the show is if you call in. While down to that number, 646-716-7320. Again, that's 646-716-7320. All right, Stanley Roy is back. All right, go ahead, Stan. Oh, yeah.
Sorry. The question I was going to ask the person, like you said, do you know how many Christians knows that? I had so many Christians. Not a lot knows that. You can even ask the pastor. Pastor, how many Christians knows the history, how the New Testament was done, the canon, the 27 book, that the 4 gospel are not the only gospel, that the original gospel, we don't have the original text. How many Christians knows all those stuff that you do? How many?
Well, I agree, but I just want to just make something clear. I'm not going to say I'm not going to make anything from an absolute knowledge based on things, but I do believe that the general Christian world don't have a clue on the knowledge of the history of the Bible and a lot of the Bible itself.
Okay, and do you understand, Pastor, that if this is supposed to be the most important decision that you're supposed to have in your life, and you don't even know those things, that you could understand that me as an atheist who knows more of those things, that I could basically look at Christians and say, you don't even know your Bible, you don't even know your book, you don't even know the historicity of it, you don't even know the Greek, the Jewish, like you saying, all those things, you don't even know that. Do you understand that I could look at you and say, where's your Christianity? Where's your foundation? When you don't have a strong foundation. Not you as a pastor.
No. I know what you mean. And I do agree that if a person is a Bible-believing Christian, they should have the responsibility to look up what they're believing in. However, let's not forget there are believers out there that don't even know how to read. There are believers out there that believe on a basic level of understanding of who God is based on experiential difference. Some of them don't even have never picked up a book, but it is through experience that they receive the knowledge of Christ. And that is just as practically maybe even better than people that actually read it. Some people read the Bible and still never get God. Never get Him. They read the Bible, they study the Bible, they eat the Bible up, they understand it in and out, even memorize the whole Bible and still never had an experience with God. And there are people that never read the Bible at all and still have an experience with God. So the Bible is a tool, but it's not the ultimate thing. It's almost like money. You can have a whole lot of money, but if nobody's taking your money from you, you just have a whole lot of money. You're rich for nothing. You know what I mean? You can have the Bible, but if the Bible's doing nothing for you, it means nothing. If you have a bowl of fruit in your table, if you don't eat it, it doesn't mean nothing to you. You know what I mean? So that's the idea. But I do agree that if you are a Bible-believing Christian, then we should really dive into the Bible to know more of it. I think it will strengthen your faith if you are a believer of Christ.
All right, so you're definitely in the overtime part of the show. Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 323-605. You're live on the air. 323-605. You're live on the Bay Talk Radio. 323. Can you hear me? 323-605. Going to once. Going twice. 3 times. All right, we got to move on. Let's go to 732-986. You're live on air. 732-986. You're live on the Bay Talk View Radio. 732. All right, guys. If you press the number 1, that means you're asking a question. But if you're not going to ask a question, just press the number 1 twice, and that'll take you off the switchboard. Once again, you're listening to the Bay Talk View Radio. Let Us Reason, Volume 2. We're going to only take a few more questions, and after that, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty much let the brothers get some final words with each other before we wrap up the show. Let's go to the next caller. Let's go to, let me see, 314-680. You're live in air.
What's going on, Sal? What's going on, both stands? This is LeRon Campbell, G Conscious.
Hey. What's going on, LeRon?
What's going on, Stan? I just want to say, brother, good job. What you was going to say?
No, I was going to say, hey.
Oh, okay. I just want to say, good job, brother. Stan Sylvain. I can't pronounce. I'm tongue tied. Right? Good job, brother. You.
Thank you. Praise God, man.
You very got a lot of wisdom, brother, and a lot of humility, and I like how you explained a lot of the things, man, and gave the understanding not just to brother the other Stan, but also to the people so they can understand it.
Amen.
I think that the main thing is that I think that we have to remember that God deals with us in dispensations. And these dispensations mean a stewardship or a probation period. And when we look at these probation periods or these stewardships that God has set up for us, then we must realize that there are points to these. And one of the things we happen to forget is that God gave us a favorable beginning. We have to ask ourselves that if he gave us a favorable beginning to where he gave us dominion over these things, he gave us dominion over everything. He gave us subjects as well, and there was no death. Everything was perfect, and everything was good, as he said. Now, if God gave the concept of, or gave man the choice, and he one of the things he gave man is he told him, do not eat from this fruit of the tree. So I think that we must realize that the Most High set us up in a way to where we had a favorable beginning. We had everything that we can ever imagine, or did we want it, and he only asked us one thing not to do. And he said, if you do this, he said, then death will enter in. So we have to understand that through this favorable beginning that he gave us, we need to ask ourselves questions. Why did man did not choose to obey? That's the first question to ask ourselves. And hold on, Stan, because you've been talking all this time, brother. You're real rude when it comes to interrupting people, first off. Second off, another thing, too, is this, is you have to ask yourself, Stan, if you don't study science, are you actually seeking for the truth? Because if you're actually seeking for the truth, then you will actually study these things. And it seems like that you're nitpicking, but you're not really studying, for real. Like the brother said when he came on, I never seen an atheist that does not study science. And when you realize, you say that you don't believe in God, but you actually do believe in God. And I'm going to tell you how you believe in God. Because you believe in a supreme knowledge. And that supreme knowledge that you believe in is man. Because you listen to man when they tell you foolish things as far as evolution and cosmic evolution and these different things, which they cannot prove these things. They don't even have the manual to self. They don't even understand. They don't even understand how to heal self. But you listen to them. But when it comes to somebody telling you intelligent design or architect put forth some things, you don't want to hear that. That's profound. That sounds silly. So, good job, brother Stan, man. You did a good job of bringing your information, brother.
Thank you. Praise God.
You can respond.
Okay, can I respond to what you said? First of all, let's go to the first debate. When you said the thing of we had the Garden of Eden, and we had basically the dominion and everything. The question I would ask you back and everything, since God knows everything, the past, the future, the present, he knew that we were going to he knew that we were going to eat that apple. He knew this. Why didn't God just put this tree nowhere? Why didn't God put it into a place that none of us could ever get it? He could have made that choice. No, God doesn't go. Wait, let me just finish. No, God didn't do that. God knows that those things. So God decided to test us because
like Sylvain says, we need tests. I think that God didn't have to test it. God could have made it very easy and say, you know what, let me not even give them the tree since I know they're going to take it. He could have done that because you're saying God knows the past, the present, the future. He knows we were going to take it. So, yes, did we make the choice to take that tree? Yes, but God made the choice to put the tree in front of us when he could have decided not to. And that was his choice.
Brother Stan, he talked about will. Now, I don't think if you caught the concept of when we deal with will, and see, this is the thing, he put forth a good analogy when we talked about will, and I don't know if you actually caught it, but that was powerful what he was saying. Now, here's the thing. Number one is this. Now, if God give you a choice and he give you will, man himself, now here, I'm going to help you understand it like this. The greatest thing that man is trying to achieve right now is he's trying to make what you call an artificial intelligence.
Yes.
You know what an artificial intelligence is? Artificial intelligence is something that has the capability to think and also to be able to think and act like man in an aspect to be able to have a will and a choice and reason. So this is the same concepts that man has and then what he's trying to create, and then we see that God has already done this in human beings. So when you look at the choice and the will, and you look at it, we're in some ways almost like God. We're in the image of his likeness, and we share some type of capabilities just as well as he has put in us. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to make an artificial intelligence, to have will, to be able to love, to have emotions just as well. And this is what we are shooting for, and this is the thing that we are doing. So one of the things you must realize is, I don't know if you know anything about conspiracies. I don't know if you know anything about the New World Order as far as how evolution came into place, and you got to know that there is a conspiracy, and the main thing that we're looking at is that scientists that don't believe in God or have believed in God, their main thing or what they deal with is to take Moses up out of science. And that's very important because back in the days of the 1600s, you had people that was believing in creation, that was believing in God. So what does this concept come back to believe in God? You have ancients from thousands of years ago, I ain't going to say maybe from thousands of years ago, that believed in God or supreme deity according to providence. Providence.
Yes, But sir, I'm sorry, 1,000 years ago, they didn't have the technology that we have. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have all the stuff that we have now. Number one. Number two, 1,000 years ago, when you're going to Moses, we still didn't find anything that basically says, we didn't find no proof of archaeology about Moses. None. And we're still looking at it. So we don't have that technology and everything. So when you keep on stating things that we can't even prove. You can't even prove tomorrow. Say, you know what, Stanley? Let me prove that Moses. Here's the chart. Here's the weapon of an Egyptian that happened during that time in Moses, and here's the test. That's what I want. You can't even bring that. If Sylvain could bring that, trust me now, he would be a Nobel Prize, and tomorrow we would praise him. He can't even bring that.
Sylvain, you want to find that?
Oh, most definitely. There's a couple of things I would like to bring up. The last point that he just bring up about what we cannot bring to the forefront, it's funny because, evolutionists for many decades have had stated that there's transitional fossils. And for many decades, they could not have bring that to the forefront. Scientists alike constantly saying that. To the schools and everything, and showing you the evolutionary process from the ape to the man. You could see the picture in the wall that you see him going from the. And guess what? They never find those middle ground. They only had the chimp and they had the man at the end, and then all the thing in between it, they didn't find at all. It was all pretty much a picture that you just drew. So, but yet they still stated those things. But were they wrong for doing that? I'm sure majority of the evolutionists in the world today would never say they were wrong for doing that. But yet they're claiming that we have to bring the ark. They have to bring the Ark of the Covenant. They have to bring Moses' bones.
I'm sorry to say, brother Sylvain, just a small thing. You're not gonna prove the same proof of evolution in the proof of Moses. Trust me now. The proof of evolution, you have so many fossils, many prints.
I said specifically transitional fossils.
Okay.
So we never found that for many decades, and yet we still were saying it in the schools. We're still teaching it. And you guys fault us for saying Moses existed.
So what?
Yes, I'm faulting. Yeah, but I'm faulting you for Moses existed because you have no proof. Trust me. If you had to want proof, I would not fault you.
Stanley.
All right, guys, gotta get some order in the court, man. Some order in the court. Order in the court. But we kind of winding down to the last few minutes of the show, guys. Kind of winding down. But what I'm gonna do is, I see we have a few people that pressed number 1 again that already originally had some comments, or already asked questions before. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the people and just say some quick comments because I want to get some final statements from both special guests. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. I know I know you guys enjoyed this show. I'm getting a lot of good responses. So again, if you wanna make a brief comment, just press number 1. And we can add you into this conversation real quick before we wrap up the show. Again, the show is archived. If you are new to the show, you can always go back and check it out. Go to www.blogtalkradio.com/debatetalkforyou. I couldn't get to all the questions that Stanley Roy had, email me, but, it was some good questions, and maybe in the future shows we can get more of those questions out. And we can get some more questions from Stanley Sylvain in the future as well. But, again, I'm going to go to the people for some quick comments, and after that, we're going to get some final statements from, from the brothers. Both lines are going to be open, and, they're going to end it with brotherly love, you know what I mean? So let's go to the people. Let's see if they got any final words here. Let's go to 708, 705. Quick comments.
All right, what's going on? This is Brother Marcel again. Good debate. I just want to throw something out there to the other Stan, not Sylvain. I keep forgetting his name. Forgive me. But I just want to have a real moment, and I'm going to let you go and respond. When Stanley had got trapped up with that caller, he kept it real and admitted that the caller was right. And Stanley had brought up a couple things to you earlier. I just want to read a couple definitions. Number 1, believe. It says to have the definition of believe, to have confidence in truth, the existence or the reliability of something, although without absolute proof that one is right in doing so. That's what Stanley was trying to bring out. He was saying, so basically you can have confidence in it, but you don't know for a fact it's true. It's not known. And you kept saying, no, it ain't. Then when he got you on the hypothetical situation, it says, assumed by hypothesis. And we know hypothesis is like a guess or an assumption. It's funny because when Stanley said you brought up a hypothetical situation, you said, no, you didn't. And then, like, directly after that, you said, it could be. It's crazy. You said it could be after that. You was like, it could be me, it could be anybody. That proves that was a hypothetical situation you was bringing up. And, we got to be real. We got to at least come to some type of point where, you got to at least admit you was wrong so we can move on. You say you're searching for truth. Well, at least keep it real. Okay, Stanley, you got me on that. You was right. I was wrong. That's how these debates work. But lastly, I just want to I just want to say good debate. I got a couple more things, but it's probably some more other callers, so I'm going to let y'all do y'all. But peace and blessing, and keep studying.
I appreciate your questions. I'm going to let Roy answer them briefly. Roy, you can answer them, guys.
No, I'm going to look at the definition that you said, the belief, things like that. That's not the way I got it and everything. And Richard Dawkins, Christopher Inchin, and everything, and Sylvain, Brother Sylvain, you know what I'm talking about. When all those people, we ask them and say, what is an atheist? It says exactly what I said. Atheist, the non-belief of God. Agnostic does not know God. Those are two different things, and I shouldn't even debate it because we both listen to the same debate and everything. So if I did something wrong, I will correct myself. If I did it wrong, I did wrong. The thing I don't understand and everything, Brother Sylvain, is when I brought the point tonight and everything that basically the Bible that I read said rape is in the Bible, you didn't say, you know what, I was wrong, Stanley, and everything. You debated me, what's your version, what is this? When I'm using your own Bible and your own book and it's those information are saying that, I don't care about your version. My version said that, and I'm not inventing it. I'm quoting it, and you didn't have the respect of saying, I was wrong. So if I'm wrong for some stuff I did, Brother Sylvain, I have no problem saying I was wrong. But you, I didn't hear nothing and saying you were wrong with some stuff.
All right, I got to let him respond. Sylvain, you can respond.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello?
I got you.
Okay. Yeah. My response is, first of all, Brother Quentin, Marcel, thank you for calling in and giving the true definitions of what those things mean. And I'm glad that you were listening and you knew what the true definition is, that to believe, it means to not know. And now to describe as far as what atheists are and agnostic, the only thing that separates the two is one has more confidence than the other. That's the only thing that's different between the two. The agnostic is just going, you know what, I take neither side. I don't know. But eventually they say, I don't know. But the atheists still say, look, I'm sticking to the side that God doesn't exist, but guess what? I don't know. Why? Because they believe they don't know. And any atheist could agree with that. You'll find that in any forum, any atheist forum that gives you the definition, either way they both don't know. But guess what? The definition of agnosticism in general just means you don't know. So today's atheist means they don't know. But back then when the term atheist first invented, do your research on those things. You're going to realize that it was a positive assertion that they don't believe that God exists. They said God doesn't exist for a fact. But today they kind of changed its definition, and now it's not that anymore. Now it's a strong agnostic now. So they cannot hold that position of a universal understanding that God doesn't exist anymore because they cannot prove a negative. That's what they say. So that's why they come with, okay, now atheist means to believe. Before it used to be no, but now it's believe. So it's still an agnostic, but it's a strong agnostic. That's all that is. But anyway, now back to the idea of the rape. I want to address that idea. He think that I was being dishonest when I was actually telling him that because he had a version that actually said rape, and the version I have didn't say rape, it actually said force. And I was trying to give him the idea of you have to be careful on what versions you pick up, because I personally can write a version right now. And he says, I showed you from your Bible. You didn't show me this from my Bible. You showed it from your Bible. That's not my Bible. So be careful on what the terms that you use, like my and your. Do not impose this on me. I didn't say this. The Bible you was reading was not my Bible. You read a Bible, and you have to understand there are different versions. If you think it doesn't matter what version you read, that's a problem, because if you read the Message Bible, it reads differently from a lot of things the NIV said. And there are many things the NIV says that's completely different from the King James Version. Why? Because they use different one used the Masoretic text for one used the different New Testament foundations to bring up these conclusions. So we have to be very careful. There's a lot of missing text in NIV, but it's found in King James and vice versa. We got to be very careful. So when you are reading a scripture, my argument to you is to help you in your studies. And actually, it's an advice, really. It's not an argument. It's an advice. Look at everything. Don't just pick one side and make a judgment on it. Read all the versions for that same topic and see what it says. And then you come to the conclusion. Now, if you can show me through all those stuff, they all saying the same thing, then you know what? I said, you know what? Then you have a strong point, Stanley. But I cannot say I'm wrong for you reading your own version alone, and I have to just admit to that. And you're going to consider that to be honest. That would be dishonest of me if I told you you're right or I was wrong about that. I would be dishonest. You want me to be honest? I can't say. I cannot say for sure if it's really rape or not. All I can say for sure is that we got to be careful on how we're just reading one version and making a doctrine out of it, and make these kinds of strong judgments that God does not exist or God supports rape in general. We got to be very careful.
All right, so once again, we're going to take some quick comments from the people, and before we open up the lines and wrap up the show, let's go back to 323-605. You're live on the air. 323-605. You're live on the Debate Talk. If you're ready, I can hear you. Hello. I can hear you in the background. 323-605. Any questions or comments? Or any comments? All right, you got to move on, man. Got to move on. Trying to get to the people's reaction. Let's go to 252-883. Quick comments.
Peace. This is Raheem again. For Stanley Roy, one of the things that I wanted to go back to, because you were using a lot of straw man arguments that was like basically kind of confusing, and should have stayed on the subject of is there a creator or not. The universe has laws, and with those laws, we know man and cows, ants or elephants didn't make those laws. So, again, the ancients around the world, from Pumapuku to Egypt to Saudi Arabia to the Dead Sea to the Black Sea, people all around the world who have never met each other thousands of years ago had this same concept about a creator because of their science. Now, let's not make them so primitive like they didn't have science, because when you look around the world and how they built their temples, they were dealing with some alchemy, some chemistry, some physics. To build those type of buildings, you have to have high mathematics. And those people today who have lasers and things like that can't even do that. So they wasn't stupid. Another thing is, when you say you do this and you wake up and say you do good and all of that, don't you know it is a spinoff from the Bible? I mean, if I can ask, I would like you to give me a law that doesn't exist in the Bible or the Quran or any Puranas or anything, because this stuff was in place before you were even born. So you won't kill from thou shalt not kill. Give me something to say, well, man, brother Stanley Roy got something new, because you got that from of the Bible, that you shouldn't kill or do this or do that. Thou shouldn't do this and thou shouldn't do that. And that's what I'm basically all I want to say. And just show me some new law that you know, because you said you don't do it. You get what I'm saying? No, you do it, that you do the good and blah, blah, blah. So if you can, show me some new law. Don't use no Bible law at all or something similar, where we can go back in the book, the Bible, and say, well, that says thou shalt not kill. Or I don't steal. Well, that says thou shalt not steal. Or I don't eat this. Well, there's a dietary law in Leviticus. That's it, Sal. Thanks. Peace.
All right, Roy, go ahead. You can answer. Yeah, Roy. You're online.
Yeah, no problem. Let me just pass Sylvain. Let me just find the thing. I have one from Sam Harris. I remember. Let me just find it. You could pass Sylvain if he has a comment on what he said. I could find it right now. Just looking.
Okay. All right, Sylvain. Anything you want to say, Sylvain? You want to comment? Go ahead.
Well, I definitely thank Raheem for calling in again and provided information that I didn't bring to the table. Raheem was focusing on the idea of design, which is a strong argument, because we have to admit that every time you look at design, a design in general always requires a designer. If I see a painting, I know, I don't believe that came by random chance. I knew that this was made by a painter. If I went to a deserted island, supposedly, that no man has ever lived it, and I see a log cabin sitting there, I disagree with that view now. Why? Because I see the log cabin there. Now, even if I were to come home, steps to my house, all the way down to the end of the block, that somebody was putting leaves in a row and laid it all down, straight down, and made a straight line with a whole bunch of leaves following each other, and it goes all the way down to the end of the block. Now, these are natural substances. Leaves are natural, and the wind can do anything, but there's no way possible that a man would come there and think that happened because the wind blew it a certain way and it came that way. No, we believe that somebody did that, and that's a natural thing. If I see rocks piling up on each other and it's in a straight order form, the rocks are natural things. However, we will not believe that this was happened over time through erosion. We believe that somebody piled it there. So it's a simple logic. You see order in, there's laws. If there are laws in the earth, laws always need a lawgiver. If I see 10 commandments, if I see law of polygamy laws or murder laws, then that means they were lawgivers. A human being, an intelligent mind had to put this together. So who made the laws in the earth? Who did E equal MC square law, which Einstein discovered? However, it was already there. And why did it have to make sense to the human mind and not a lion or an ant? You know what I mean? These things that we have to, there's a communication process going on. If I go to a beach and I see SOS, I'm not going to think that happened because of the beach waves. I'm going to believe that it happened because somebody intelligently put it there. So when I see DNA, that's information. Information could only be given by a person that's trying to communicate to another. And that's the reason why I believe that God exists. So the argument for design is definitely a strong argument for the existence of God.
Okay. First of all, I'll go back to what you're saying, brother, after. I want to go to the challenge that he said. The brother that called in, just do a search that said Jane Patriarch. Basically, it's a book that came way before the Bible, way before the Bible, that basically says in one sentence something that the Bible doesn't even say, and it's a great thing. It says, do not injure, abuse, oppress, enslave, insult, torment, torture, or kill any creature or living being. Just that sentence is better than your 10 Commandments, is better than 90% of what you have in the Bible. Can you imagine if God would have put that as the first commandment, the only commandment? Pick out all the 10 commandments and you know what? I'm going to give you just one commandment, that one. Imagine how our society would have been 10 times better of what it is. Because basically it says do not injure, oppress, enslave, slavery, insult, torment, torture, how many people, kill any creature or living being. So that's just to challenge you that there's other books before the Bible that had wisdom. And by the way, what you said, the famous quote of Jesus, it was Confucius that said it before Jesus. Do a research on that too. Second of all, when it goes to what you're saying, brother Sylvain, it's good that you have all this thing. It looks like it's designed. It looks like this and that. You have no proof. Prove your point before you make a statement. That's the thing. You could come with all the logic in the world. Logically, Stanley, it should be this and this and that. But how many times we found out scientifically that logically it should be this, and then we found out it's not that. You cannot say and make a statement God exists until you prove it. And by the way, the standard that it is non-belief, because you would never hear somebody say, you have to prove that Santa, I have to unprove that Santa doesn't exist, I have to unprove that Zeus didn't exist, I have to unprove those things, the 2,000 gods that was there before God. The default, like Matt DeHanty said it before, and I repeated what he says, is the person that doesn't believe. You have to prove your case. You didn't. You're coming with all the logic in the world. You're coming, it should be designed. It is designed, everything. Where's your scientific proof? Where's the proof that you can't debate? Where's something, like I said, and I'm telling you again, Brother Sylvain, tomorrow, God is shown in CNN. I'm done. What do you want me to say? I'm done. There's no question of it. I'm done. You just have to bring me back the tape. Here you go. You want to see God? God showed himself and did an interview in CNN. It's done. Then after that, it becomes the one question, do you want to follow him or not? But the whole thing that God is proven, it's never been proven. We're still debating it. It's 2014.
All right, so we're at the last part of the show right now, and once again, everybody knows anything that happens in the Lion's Den, we leave it here. We don't take it outside, and we end it, of course, on a positive note, and I'm open up their phone lines and let them share some final words with each other. Once again, it was a good dialogue. I appreciate both special guests for coming on. I appreciate all the callers that called in as well. But we're going to get some final words from both special guests so they can talk to each other, and end it off right. All right, let's go. I guess we can start off with Stanley. Final words.
Stanley who?
Stanley who? Oh, go ahead, Sylvain.
Go
ahead, Sylvain. I started.
I was going to say Stanley.
Yeah, go ahead first.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I do want to end to show that yes, I agree that to everybody, and I'm pretty honest about this. I didn't come here to prove God's existence. I came here just to have a discussion so that we can think about the things that we are judging, and we have to be very careful that we don't make these final judgments based on lack of something. And I was showing, yes, I agree that when I explain the design and I was explaining these are not definitely conclusive proof. No, without a doubt, they're not conclusive proof because it definitely can show these things can show another case. So I was not bringing proof when I say those things. I'm just showing that that's enough for me to strengthen my faith to believe that God exists. Just like if I were to go to a deserted island and I see a log cabin there, I mean, does that mean a person made it? No, it doesn't mean that. But how many people wouldn't believe that? I think logically speaking, we believe that a person made that because it's a house. We've never seen any other being in the world ever create that. Now, when I had stated that the burden of proof should be on both of us, and he made the statement, we're not going to sit here and try to disprove Santa Claus. Of course you can disprove Santa Claus. It's easy to not to find a fat man riding on reindeers flying in the sky, going down in chimneys and giving toys to people. That is easy to disprove. Sophisticated atheists never choose that line of reasoning about the Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. Only the minimal atheists come around and generally use that. But they're very careful. The ones that are up there, they're very careful not using these kinds of arguments. And so these points there have been disproven many times by strong, like people like William and Craig. They destroy those kinds of arguments easily all the time. But now, the problem is now, we had a good discussion, and I think that it brought forth my motive behind the things that we believe. I think that's been exposed.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, the Sylvain line is open. I don't know. Sylvain, can you hear us? Oh, man,
Sylvain.
His call just dropped, actually. Yeah, his call dropped. Unfortunately, his call dropped. And,
he's going to call back.
No. Yeah, so, actually, the overtime part of the show, he was unable to call back. And, apologize for that. His call dropped. But, Roy, I guess you can share some last words with the audience, brother. Some last words.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you, Sal, for inviting us again for a great discussion. Sylvain, I have nothing but love for you. Maybe we disagree on this topic, but I have nothing but respect. I'm sure as a pastor you're a lot better than a lot of pastors that I know. The thing I would say to people listening to this debate, yes, maybe I am not as informed as Sylvain and everything, but I'm sorry to say a lot of you who are Christian are not informed also. You need to take this book that you think the Bible and read it from left to right, from the beginning to the end. Because I'm sorry to say, many of you didn't read it. Many of you don't even know it. Many of you who are Christian don't even know what it is and everything. If you're going to put your faith on this book, you better make sure that you know it. You better make sure that you know the historically, you better make sure how it came and everything. You better make sure the New Testament and everything. Because there's a couple of information that I could bring up that you should know before me, and I'm an atheist, and I don't even believe in that concept of God. Now, when Sylvain is saying that, when I go to an island and then we see a house and everything, and was it designed? Yes. You know why we know that, Sylvain? Because we could see who designed a house. We know how to design a house. We have example of people who design a house. We have no example how to design a planet. We have no example of a phenomenon that's basically designing a planet or designing the galaxy or designing this. We have no proof of that existence. None. And like I said, when I keep on saying to Christian, when you say to create the universe, you need a creator, I've always said, who created the thing? And you're going to come to me and say, it's impossible because God is unlimited. God doesn't need a creator. Then I would tell you the same thing. Your universe doesn't need a creator at all. Until you could prove that point, we don't need God. Period. And the last thing I would say, it goes back to morality. Do you want to have an objective morality? Do you want to have an almighty dictator that basically tells you how to be good, how to not be good, and if you don't follow his way or his book, then you're not good? Then you should be killed and things like that? Or do you want to have us as human beings that basically think together and says together that, hey, we need to find a better way because those are the way that brought us out of slavery. Those are the way that brought us out of rape. Those are the way that brought us out of the society that we have right now. It was us as human beings. It is not God. It is us as human beings that worked together, that needed each other, that we had a great society. I believe in human beings. I don't believe in God. I believe that we are great in everything. All of you are great. Do not let this religion put you down. Do not let this religion think that you are a sinner. Do not let this religion think that you are a bad person. Because too many of you do think that in your mind, and you're not. You're all great. You are a miracle in this world. Do not let any religion or any people make you think differently. And that's what I would say, Sal.